intents and purposes currently streaming. Feel free to shout the usual welcome.
Hi, stream.
Hi, stream.
Is that the usual welcome? I don't know.
I don't
know.
Hello,
Yes,
stream. Vin, if you're in the chat, and Amy, if you're in the chat, and just generally anyone really, can you tell us if we're coming through? Because we didn't do a mic check because I forgot. Anyone of you as well, if you want to turn the sound on in Twitch and tell us if you can hear us, I don't care.
Also, Josh.
Yeah, you're coming through.
Yeah, you're coming through.
You know the numbers on this thing? It's AC first and then passive perception afterwards.
That's
right?
correct, yep.
Okay, cool. Then. Fine.
Okay, cool. Assuming that we are fine and Vin is doing a poo or something, I don't know. Let's go. So that's a long
so
thing.
close to the cam.
Here we go. Right. Yeah, he has no choice. Okay, the music is crazy quiet. Let me just turn that up. Come along, robot. Cool. Okay, so first thing we need to do before I get into the actual session is some semblance of a recap. Sevi, you said that you have notes up to a point. Do you want to do your recap of Arc 1 last session?
It's kind of last 2 sessions.
That's fine.
So we sit around, we're stuck in prison. We get a short visit from my parents saying that they're doing everything they can to get us out, but it's proving difficult. We decide to wait it out until we get awoken with bags over our heads and our hands cuffed behind us. We get taken by a bunch of people and end up walking for hours, and we get taken into a camp that's surrounded by the Heart of Dawn as they take the things off our head. And there seems to be some old guy in charge. He talks about the prophecy and has Fina in front of him, to which Vice is very shocked.
Vice's wife.
Vice's wife. He blurbs on about more about the prophecy, and what he's going to do, and la 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 la, and then murders Fina in front of us, and it gets very dramatic. And then the battle begins, and then there's a big long fight, and people go down, people get back up. Nemea tries to go to save Fina, but she can't. He turns invisible, starts running around the field like a crazy person, throwing fireballs all over the place.
That fight was hard.
It got really hard, and I flew. My wings came out. That was great. And then we killed him. And then guards from actual Starvin came in and were like, oh my God, you've murdered like 40 billion fuck-ton people, crazy murderer people. And then arrested us because obviously we look like murderers and no one will listen to us about the fact that we isn't the murderers despite doing all the murderings. And then we get taken off and then we're in prison.
Mentioning that as... Oh, what was his name? Orvan Parvus or something like that? Bear with me. I don't think I've got it on here anymore.
Definitely not Parvus because he ain't my fucking dad.
No, that's true. He's not. Oh, I don't think I have it on here. Anybody remember his name?
Arthurius?
No, but that's what I was going to reference. The leader of the Heart of Dawn, which I'm not going to open the odd session plan to get his name.
I was coming to this.
There's part of me that wants to now. He mentioned... You were about to say it.
Well, what I've got written down is he alludes to the fact once he's doing his rambling speech, and possibly at the end. I can't remember if he spoke at the end or not. There were a number of attacks on different towns and groups, but ultimately, all of it has been orchestrated by Arthurius. Not too sure how you say it. Fina was the chosen in the prophecy, of which the prophecy said something about the keeper, the follower, the veiled, the wanderer, and the chosen. And that we'd find something to join the gods. So he references that, says Fina was the chosen, and that she joined them to essentially lead them on a wild goose chase to save dear old Vice, because, you know, she loves her man. And she kept on running, but then they kept finding her when she was with her dear old man. So she joined them and then led them on a wild goose chase to protect him.
Fina, with your eyes. And,
I can't hear you, you're not coming through. And I can't hear you without the headset.
All I see is just the visage of Josh in the corner.
Having given Vice the Dawnstone.
Having given Vice the Dawnstone, yes, because she had the Dawnstone. That's important, and she gave it to Vice, and that was really important. And then Vice had it. And the rest of us are the rest of the prophecy, I think.
Well, unless Elkas dies, you know, that's not
Mic on.
is it?
Hey, there we go.
That would
Yeah,
be third
so
time unlucky.
individually, I messaged. Well, I pulled you all into the Whispers room, and you were all told by the head of the Heart of Dawn your part in the prophecy and why it specifically was you and how it made sense, etc. Before he died.
Yep.
Carry on.
No, that I told you. That's what I got to.
That's so.
Then we were arrested by the actual guards of Stalvin because we did all the murder, and I don't think they really believe that, you know, these were really bad guys.
Okay, let me open the op.
Unless you want me to wing it. And then we're in prison for
I mean, yeah,
ages.
feel free to wing it.
And then we're in prison for ages, and we get taken in front of the king. And he basically says, like, I don't really care what you say. Like, you might be innocent, you might not, but
Also-
ultimately, you,
Sorry,
you-
his name was also.
but you killed a bunch of peoples. So whether you're good murderers or bad murderers, you're still murderers. So that's not good. Also, I think there's a big problem with elves. Like, they is the big bad.
I feel like I'm going to cut in here. So, one of the main things that had been happening is that an advisor, I can't remember his name either. Hang on,
doesn't
it was
matter.
Grimnir, who was of elven origin, had essentially corrupted the king and convinced him to slowly, essentially disable Stalvin, the capital in the south, get rid of magic, ban that entirely, close down all the places tied to magic. People that cast anything were arrested. They cut off ties. He had delayed the peace treaty with Dunbarlin in regards to making teleportation legal as a result of Grimnir's advice. And essentially, after all of this, the group were brought in front of the king, having spent, I believe, 2 months in prison. Yes, so you were in prison for 2 months. The entire time, Livia's father was trying to essentially get you guys out, which the king referenced when he spoke to you. And what had been happening that you guys weren't a part of was that Grimnir Wormjaw, the advisor to the king, the elven advisor to the king, had been usurped, and it had become found out, common knowledge, that he was an evildoer corrupting the king and essentially screwing over Stalvin. You guys weren't a part of that story because of the choices you made. You went down a different route, but that story happened in the background nonetheless. You were all brought before the king, Livia, Nemea, Vice, and Elkas. It was asked whether or not you would essentially take the deal and join the Stalvin military with the intention of them then marching north and attacking the elven home due to the acts of Grimnir, what was his last name, Wormjaw? Yeah, due to the acts of Grimnir Wormjaw essentially being an act of war. 3 of you agreed. 1 of you spat in the face of the king, to use the phrase, not literally, and as a result was spared just because it seems he is merciful. I'm not particularly sure why, and instead was taken away, presumably to be imprisoned as a result of his elven heritage. Elkas was unwilling to be a part of a war that saw him on the enemy of the elves, or saw him as an enemy of the elves. And as such was taken away, likely for questioning. We're not sure as to whether or not that ends in the death penalty or not.
But we did find out there are elves in the army, didn't we?
There are elves in Stalvin's army that are just true to Stalvin. You don't have to be an elf to be on the elf team. It's more a case of where you come from
Stalvin
/
versus
where
Stalvin.
your loyalties lie. If you were from the exact place that Stalvin is about to attack, but you had proven yourself to Stalvin, you would be treated as any other citizen, albeit maybe the kind of racism that exists throughout the world towards tieflings, you might experience some of that as an elf, as part of the Stalvin military, given that they're a bunch of soldiers about to go fight elves. But generally, you would be accepted. In terms of your role, it wouldn't be a hindrance unless the people that choose whether or not you're promoted and so forth are also racists. Where we ended up is that Vice's wife is dead. He now has nothing to go to do except sort of go with his friends. Elkas had achieved his goal of finding out
Bringing
what
down
happened with
Heartthorn.
his people but ultimately has since been imprisoned, and you guys don't really know what's happened to him. Nemea doesn't particularly know what's going on with the Fallen Exile, her warlock patron, but she has.
But I gave her a message.
Yeah, she has experienced visions which suggest that the Fallen Exile is being imprisoned in some fashion. What was the message you gave her?
I think it was to head north.
Yes, I remember it being something along those lines.
Yeah,
that if
really
you wanted to
Basically
help,
follow north.
yeah, if you wanted to help, you should head north. Livia knows that she was adopted, but she's not sure where she originally comes from, and I believe that conversation was had with her parents.
Literally dumped.
Wait, hang on. When did she find out?
The king
They
let
didn't
it
know
slip.
that.
They did know that. The king let it slip.
Really?
Yeah,
Did he?
yeah.
I
I mean,
don't
I've
even-
got his
yes, he
speech.
did. He did, and I remember
Yeah.
looking over and at you, Livia, and thinking,
He said,
shit.
"We've investigated the four of you, 2 travelers without homes, a nomad with no clear history, and an orphan raised here in the capital."
Yeah.
They also thought that you were probably responsible for the destruction of the Fat Quail, Gaston's restaurant, but technically you didn't do that.
We did not do that.
So, that's the recap, a slightly lengthier one than we would normally do, purely because it's been a big break, and
Well.
that was the end of an entire story arc. I just saw Vin's message in the thing. Okay, so, we come to Arc 2. Let me just find more
Oh,
different
here we
music.
go.
And for those of you that are slightly unsure who this new person is, who has a face and all the rest of it, this is our friend Adam. He may or may not be joining the game. Currently,
May or may not.
We don't know.
This is...
Only
just
time
watching.
will tell.
Oh yeah, who knows?
It could go either way.
Nicely done.
He's only here for
Good
5
dog.
minutes. He's just checking in, just like, oh, hi guys.
I'm just
We're
hanging out in the
being-
green room with the other celebrities right now.
We're being Skype
Think about it.
audited. Adam works for Skype. He's a Skype auditor.
Yeah, Twitch's rules about language got a lot stricter. Okay, you know,
They've gotten really fucking serious recently.
drinking on the stream and everything. Yeah.
I mean, what are you on about? What are you talking about?
If you lean off cam, it's fine, right?
I'm totally doing something else over here.
Per the TOS,
Cool.
get onto your desk and then come back up afterwards.
I'm,
Let me switch
I'm
back
struggling to
to
open
this.
this
Max, what are
can,
you
man.
doing?
I'm struggling to open this can.
Let's just knock one out real quick.
You have no idea.
I'm
There
gonna
we
buy
go.
you all really long, crazy straws, and then that way it's completely okay.
Max Hex is our
Can you
big
get me the
hero.
ones that are like 12? I want it to take a long time to get in my mouth.
If it doesn't remind me of a roller coaster, I'm not interested.
I'll pull some strings.
Skype HQ. Okay, so obviously it had been 2 months since you guys were freed essentially from prison. Adam wasn't there. He's a real person. He doesn't exist in this world. And Ulrich, who presumably playing somebody new, we don't know what's going on with Elkas, but he wasn't there. Since that period of speaking with the king, the music just shit itself. Oh, there we go. Since that period of speaking with the king, he essentially called for a... Let me just grab it. I think it was a sergeant. Yes, he called for a sergeant to ensure that you guys had had some proper rest, said your goodbyes, but that after that, the intention would be to start your induction. He then mentioned that as of that day, Stalvin is at war with the Wandering Wood and all those who hold allegiance to it. The Wandering Wood being this central point on the map, which is well known for housing the majority of elves throughout Bela'Dun, though how they live and what sort of city or structure they have there is completely secret. As you guys all know, traveling away from the road is hazardous at best, but traveling into the woodland so far away from civilization is even worse. Elkas would have been able to provide you a certain amount of information, but he's gone. So, you guys had 3 days. It's now the start of spring. The official date is Dawn 12. The year is 434, I think.
Oh wait, I've got to write a recap. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, if you want to do notes, that's cool. If anyone else wants to do notes,
That's
also cool. The calendar's on the screen. I'll pop it up for you all anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the 3rd month, but halfway through the 3rd month. So we are out of winter now and seeing the start of spring. The city of Stalvin is fresh, clean, almost like new. Winter has begun to abate and spring has truly begun to show. The cobbled paths become less icy and treacherous to traverse. Let me jump you to Stalvin. And the soft flutter of birdsong can be heard once more. The first flickers of life after a long and stagnant winter. Stalvin has also sprung back into life as the ban on magic was lifted a couple months ago. Its presence in the city is immediately evident, from simple tricks of dabblers walking the streets to the more stern-faced presence of the occasional aspiring mage in the guards' ranks. It's late morning, and the bustle of the city's in full flow. Children are running through the streets and playing games as business begins to pick up for most of the stalls and resident shops of the capital. The fresh smell of bread lingers on the wind near the market square and flows across the open air, broken by the loud flowing sounds of the fountain in the centre of the populace. One that you're all familiar with and have passed by several times. Stalvin is renewed, and so are its people. But the scars of the axe of the elves of the Wandering Woods still linger. War is on the horizon. Stalvin's forces are still weakened, slowly bolstered as the days go by. The average citizen goes about their day as you weave through them, going about yours just the same. But in the background, known only to you and the protectors of this city, there is an unease, a readiness, the clenching of fists and hands around hilts. A large band of military forces moves people aside and continues on into the distance, heading towards the western gate, and the open air of spring is torn away from you as you realize your freedom of these 3 days that you have, having spoken to the king, is incredibly fleeting. You're all indebted now, your lives owned by the king and his newest endeavor. The happy faces of the masses fly past you, but the jovial wandering nature of your adventure into the city this day is cut short by the looming truth that this may be the last time you see the comfort of these walls for quite some time, if ever. 3 days have passed since the meeting in the king's chamber in the palace of Stalvin. You all have been given free rein to make your various preparations as you see fit and say goodbye to anyone you need to, speak to whoever you need to. You've all obviously, and when I say you, I mean Livia, Vice, and the mayor. You are the only remainders of the group at this point. You've all noticed over this 3-day period that the guards are generally keeping a very obvious watch on you in the run-up to you joining the military forces. One sec. And it's from one of these guards that you guys have questioned and ultimately found out that Elkas is essentially being detained indefinitely until they have decided what they want to do with him. Any probing for further information has simply been met with, "There's nothing more I can tell you." As originally planned, you all return to the Temple of Arella in the first day. Livia, you have collected your personal effects there, amongst which is a spell scroll for the Detect Magic spell, which you were given by as a child, by a strange mage that you met. Zuko, your father, has advised the group...
Oh shit!
That's it! Everyone down! I've got to write that under my Livia bust.
Yeah.
Oh, under your what? Oh, Livia bust.
She got that from one of the heralds.
I love my bust. Shut up.
No, sorry, I forgot about the bust.
It's little, made of stone. So Zuko, Livia's father, has advised the group that when the time comes, he hopes that peace and diplomacy with the elves is still an option. He essentially implied that if the group have little choice in where they're going, that they may as well try and have some sway with the Stalvin military by the time they arrive. And he kind of urged you all to embrace your limited destiny at this point and attempt to rise up the ranks, as it were, whether truly or just generally in favor, so that you are hopefully in a more fortuitous position when it's necessary. He also gives you all 200 gold each.
Ooh.
He mentions that there were some savings that he had and that they were his, not the temple's.
200 gold each.
200 gold each to Nemea, Livia,
damn.
and Vice.
See that?
Livia's
Such a
dad.
good dad, guys. Look at
No.
You're about to go on your very first
So,
Pokemon
was
journey.
I Damn, that's so
He gives you all a
nice.
small investment of 200 gold, sends you on your way. He makes a point of explaining that this was not the temple's money, this was his money that he's made through his own means and kept saved away.
All the dodgy dealings.
I was
Um,
gonna
Dad?
say, like,
Hey.
dodge. Super dodge.
Back from
Like,
his days as a quest giver.
can I
You
speak
guys-
to Livia? Can I speak to Livia's mum before we go?
Yeah, totally. What I was about to say is that you guys are now free to roam about the city as you see fit. All of your personal effects and gold that would otherwise be taken from you when you were imprisoned have since been returned by the various guards that are obviously still watching you. Including the money that you made after the fight with the Heart of Dawn. So add the 200 that Zuko gives you to whatever you had at the end, and that is what you genuinely have back once more. However, this is the last of your 3-day rest and goodbye period. So it is today that you are expected to meet the Starver military. What do you guys want to do?
I want to talk to my mom and be like, why you never tell me? I
Okay.
don't know if that's already happened.
No, it's fine. So you find your mum in the Temple of Arella, easy enough.
Why are you a bitch?
I want to support her.
But don't talk to
Why
Vice
you
and
bitch?
tell me everything.
Nemea's behind you like, yeah, bitch. Okay, so you approach your mum. She can tell you're very emotional. She puts her arms around you and just says softly, they accepted you when you were left here as a gift from Arella, and the intention was simply to raise you as their own, and they see you as their own. As far as they're concerned, you are their daughter.
Did you even... Do you know anything about where I came from?
I'm sorry, but you were simply left in front of the temple one day. It was many years ago now, but honestly, it's not the first time it's happened. We've had other people unsure of whether or not they could deal with the burden of motherhood that have tried to left children with us before. Some of them became some of our number and eventually moved on. Others we've helped as much as we can and find a place for those children as the time went by. We both, your father and I, felt an affinity with you that we couldn't ignore. We always knew you were destined for something great, and regardless of the situation you found yourself in now, we know you'll do something amazing with it.
Are we like in a private room?
Mm-mm. You're at the big main temple in front of the statue of Arella at the back of the central cathedral of the temple.
Can I tell her that I need to show her something and ask to go find a private
Yeah,
space?
sure. So she takes you aside to that stairway that's in the sort of top left bit of the temple of Arella, and you can go up
I'll
to
leave them be.
her room or your room. Nemea sort of walks with you for a moment, but then takes a step back and lets you go.
I'm just gonna wait until like we're in a space that's on our own.
Yeah.
I don't think people are gonna come. I'm just sort of gonna look at her and say, "Did you know that? Have you ever known if there's anything different about me?" And then I'm gonna clear my throat and sort of like step back a little bit and let out my wings.
Okay. So
Let it all out. Let it all out.
Did I,
Fucking weird.
can you give me the description on your wings?
Boom!
Oh, sorry, like. They kind of
Flap around. Sevi, can you give me the description on your wings?
Oh shit.
They look like
I can.
I don't remember the visual.
Just hear someone from the top of the stairs like, "What the fuck?"
They sprout spectral rings.
Rings.
Rings
Spectral
or wings?
Oh,
Wings?
it's gonna
It's
be
on your
like-
character sheet.
Yeah, but on my character sheet, it's factual. It just says sprout spectral rings for one round, giving the ability to fly out.
broken one.
Like,
Like,
You wrote it down.
Come
Quick
on.
versioned it from what I gave you. Okay.
Yeah, in the long version, it's in one of my old sheets, but I don't know where.
Okay, hang on, bear with me.
My eyes light up. They come out.
Oh, I thought so. That's what I was trying to confirm, whether
Yeah,
or not
my
your
eyes light
lit
up. They're angelic, so it's like a pure white light.
Your eyes to glimmer and two luminous incorporeal wings to sprout from your back. Yep, cool. Okay.
Yeah. That.
So
Then
I'm not trying to make a big scene. I'm just trying to show her what's
yeah, it's
happened
kind
to
of
me.
you don't have much of a choice if you do this. So much like everyone else expects, there's a bit of a gasp as she steps back, and it's just like, oh, we didn't know anything like this. I'm sorry, but it's got to be a good thing.
And then I'm like, to save the time, I'm going to tell her about. Are we not already a meeting? That's the wrong word. My moment with Arella and about what happened, and what she said and what she told me. And obviously, given what she's already said, it seems like she doesn't know anything. But like in the effort of us having an open conversation, she's told me what she knows, and then I want to tell her what happened to me and what I was told, and that Arella came to me.
Okay. She gets quite teary, just a sort of validation that she has been like hoping for quite some time. She hugs you again, and she just says more like repeatedly that she knew you were destined for something big.
Cool. I will hug her back and say I love you, Mum, and then I'm gonna smile at her and then tell her I'm gonna go find Dad.
Okay. She follows you down. Nemea is still standing exactly where she left you, a bit unsure of what to do.
I'm like twiddling with my thumbs a bit, kind of like worrying what's going on.
The
like,
only purple-skinned
she's
one in the
adopted.
surrounding area.
Like, what do you do when you find out your best friend, like, you know, one of your best friends is adopted and they're really upset? Like, kind of standing there twiddling your
And
thumbs.
she has
like,
wings.
Also the
yeah,
wings.
like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I'm just gonna stand here.
I'm gonna squeeze her hand. I squeeze Nemea's hand as I walk past her and sort of give her a reassuring nod, and then go to find my dad.
Okay. Vice and Nemea, are you guys doing anything?
The mayor?
Is Vice with us?
Vice
I
is
thought it
with
was
you,
just
yeah.
you.
The three of you have been.
Okay.
I
staying
don't think
at
he's
the temple.
followed us to the staircase.
Yeah,
but
no, he's
he's
like
with
you're
us.
sort of close to the large table near the entrance to the staircase. Vice is slightly more
Okay.
at the table, the central section still.
I'm gonna go walk over to Vice and say to him, we just need to give her some space and let her figure this out.
Yeah.
That's-
I'm just staring into space, to be honest. Because I don't think that I've had. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I didn't even get a chance to even see Fina at her grave. I don't even know.
So as
I
part of
don't even
the
know.
as part of the 3 days, I probably should have written this. It's a long session plan. We were sort of stepping past the fact that you guys. I don't remember how Fina's body got here. I remember it being the intent that she would be
The
buried
guards
in the.
carried her.
Yeah, I remember it would be the intent that she was buried in the graveyard out the back of the Temple of Arella. That happened. There was no sort of formal funeral so much as there was a kind of ritualistic burying in which you would have all been present for. But that was like day one.
Yeah.
So you were there, you witnessed it. It's been a couple days since the funeral. It's been 2 months and a few days since her death. But yeah, it's entirely up to you.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm just gonna say, the mayor. I'm gonna go and I'll meet you guys back here in about, I'll meet you guys back here in a bit.
Okay.
And I'm gonna head off to where she was buried because
Yeah.
I feel as if Vice has not actually spent much time with the fact that she is gone.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Gone.
So
I'm
you
gonna
head.
give you some-
Go on, the mayor.
I'm just gonna give him some as well, and I just
Yeah.
sit down at the table
Okay.
and let them both go in their office.
So you sit down at the table. Vice sort of solemnly, slowly walks down the central, like darkened wood flooring in between the pews on either side, heads towards the large double doors. You can see various followers of Arella. There aren't many of them in this temple, maybe like 5 tops, but they're not all here at once. You can see 1 or 2 around the edges, just sort of milling around, dusting, welcoming people, and taking alms and the like. Vice, you head out of the large double wooden doors that create the entrance to this place and wrap round on the temple itself to get to the graveyard section that's out the back, a sort of fenced off area. There is a smaller kind of shrine to Arella rather than like a large ornate statue that oversees the graveyard itself. And there aren't many people buried here at all. Fina is one of about 6 or 7.
Wow, boy, privilege.
Yeah, it is almost like you need to have been somebody close to Arella in some fashion to have the honor of being buried in this plot.
Okay.
So, Livia, you approach Zuko. He's already given you the money and said his piece previously.
I'll keep it short with him. I feel like it would be less like I would have the emotional sense to talk with my mum, but not so much my dad. So I'll just say to him that I've spoken to mum about everything, and I know I'm thankful for everything you've done for me. She can fill you in all the details.
That's cool.
And then I'm just gonna smile and like give him a big hug. And then when I'm hugging him, I'm just gonna say, "You'll always be my dad."
He starts to get a little bit teary himself. He hugs you back, and as he kind of pulls away, he just says to you, "I'm so proud of you and everything you've done. I knew it was the right choice to bring you in when we made it. I've never questioned it a single day. I'm sure you're destined for great things, as are your friends. Also, I feel like I should probably mention that your friend stumbled across my journal a while ago now. I swore him to secrecy, but he was aware that you had been adopted, and it seems as though he never told you. And I just want
Which friend?
I just don't want you to hold it against him.
Which one?
The chef fellow.
Of course.
Interesting.
If you do, if you do deem to discuss this with him, just
Oh, I do.
What a bitch!
please pass on the message.
He made me promise not to say nothing, right? And this guy, he made me pretend as if I fucked his wife.
Okay, well that was a whole separate thing on you. That was not a him thing. He says to you,
Oh,
Livia,
God.
please just let him know from me that he has my respect. He's a good man, and I'm
Yeah,
glad
great
you're
man.
traveling with him.
Thanks, Dad.
He looks at you and he's like, "Don't be like that." And then he just says, sort of like, "Best of luck," and like half shoves you a little bit on the shoulder.
Yeah, like it'll punches you in the shoulder, like. I mean, like, go on, love. You're all right. You're all right.
Yeah, it's like that.
Like,
It's an approving fist shoulder bump.
because that's what fathers do.
Yep.
I'm gonna lean in, like to give him a kiss on the cheek, and then lick his cheek. And then, like I did when I was 15, I used to be a dick. And then laugh at him and walk away.
He just kind of goes, he's like, "Ah," and like wipes it off. He goes to sort of like wipe it on you, but you've already walked away, and he just kind of stands
like,
there
"Oh,
like, "Ah, you got me."
Yeah. I mean, Livia.
No, him and the
Not in
mayor is not
public.
like you. And...
Max, you look at this webcam now. I'm coming.
So,
We got-
is there anything you guys want to do in town? You have the money you had following the various shit with the Heart of Dawn. You have the money that Zuko's just given you.
Yeah, I do.
There are... Let me just turn the music down, and then I will remind you of some places. So, magic is not banned anymore. There is
Hooray.
the Pint and Teller, the Flute Inn. The Flute. Both inns. There's the Cloak and Flagon, which is an inn. Skullfist Hammer, a smithy.
Whoa. Slow down.
There's some smithies. There's some Fletchers. There's some enchanting places. There is restaurants, jewelers,
Restaurant.
brothel.
Bakery?
There's a.
Bakery?
I'm getting to it. There's a merchant shop. There's a leather
Brothel,
worker.
you say?
There's a bakery. There's an arena. And that's it.
Is there anywhere I could go for mage armor? Ooh,
Mage
like-
armor, the spell. Or
No,
ma-
no. Like actual armor for a mage. What can I wear?
armor for a
Like
mage.
Yeah, like I'm
So-
magic based. So what can I wear?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I
love
don't
to
think you
bump
can
my
wear
AC.
armor because you're not proficient in it. So it would. it gives you some sort of disadvantage. I don't remember exactly how it works, but I think it gives you disadvantage on to hit spells and possibly disadvantage on concentration. I might be making that up, but there's nothing to say that you couldn't seek out magic items that up your AC if that's what you're after, or perhaps
that's
enchanting.
what I think I'd be after.
There could be you could be
Yeah,
after
I
some
don't
sort
know.
of enchanting to enchant your existing clothing, or it would be clothing because you don't wear armor, to provide you some
Yeah.
sort of magical buff.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd
so
say that's my goal for wandering around the city
Cool.
today.
so make a note somewhere that you are looking for an enchanter's or a general store, and that's you. Olivia, what are you looking for?
I don't know whether it's worth looking for a new.
She's looking for me.
Sword. No, I'll find you. Don't you worry.
What's this about?
Destiny
on,
waits
man.
for no man.
I don't know if it's going to be easy enough for me to find some kind of alchemist.
Alchemy.
Yeah, I know we've not built it yet.
Or a
But
butcher.
Yeah.
like a book or something that I could take with me.
Well, you have
to
one.
look at
You
later.
have an alchemy book.
But I don't have a book. I have some scrambling of notes that don't
Yes,
really
but
mean a
they
lot.
they serve as a way for you to up your chance to minimize. There's an alchemist, if that helps. Just
Yes,
whilst I read down
there-
this list.
Yes. I just want the tools that I need to be able to start. And maybe a book.
Yeah,
or
so you're
something,
fully
you know.
aware that there's
But
an
I don't have
alchemist
to have a
called the
conversation. I'm
Sanguine
happy for you
Sand.
to just tell me what I need.
No, we'll play it out. So there's an alchemist called the Sanguine Sand. You know that because you lived here. And you can tell Nemea where she needs to go once she makes her mind up about whether or not she's looking for items or specific enchanting. What are you guys doing in terms of Vice? Because Vice is not with you as you both leave the Temple
Fuck
of
him.
Varela.
Let's go. And I'm going to drag her with me.
Oh, well,
Nemea?
You ready to go, Nemea?
are you upset with Vice?
Upset? No, I'm peachy. Let's go.
Are
This
you
way,
sure?
and I'll
sure we
tell you
shouldn't
when we
wait
split
for him?
off.
Josh,
He's fine. He's
what's wrong with you, man?
grieving.
What's wrong with me?
Okay.
Why did you say this? Why did you say this? Like, I don't understand.
Zuko doesn't know the
we
next
head
time he's
down
seeing
this
his daughter.
road.
He's telling her everything.
Once we get to the inn, we'll go different ways, but I'll tell you where we're going. Let's go.
Okay,
It'll be
remember
fun.
where you're going.
Okay, sure. No. Yeah, let's go.
Max, look at it this way. It could be worse. You could be dead twice over.
Yes. Good. Yeah.
I've only died
Who
once.
knows?
God.
Who
No,
knows
he's
what's
died
gonna
twice.
happen?
Yeah,
Dead
you could be an
actors.
NPC with no dialogue.
That's true.
So,
I mean, Elcas has NPC power.
okay,
Times
so
are tough.
Asteros and Taryn, you should see yourselves on a map.
Who?
Oh.
Your roll
Okay,
20
then.
should have changed, and if you are not Asteros and Taryn, your roll 20 has not changed.
How did you do that?
Yeah, I know how to do shit.
Bitch, didn't teach me how to do those things.
Can you
Wait,
guys...
get away. You're not allowed to see this.
No, wait, we're not playing until we've had our conversation.
Wait, hang on a minute. Oh my god! Like I'm no. Okay. Jesus.
What you
Yeah,
are
there we
is
go.
not here. Asteros and Taryn, can you see the map that you are supposed to see?
Yes.
I saw it.
Yeah, she's cheating.
Nemea, you are also not here.
Stop
So-
being a bitch!
One thing that I...
Stop being a bitch!
I see
Click
a
from
vision.
here to fucking. Stop being a bitch!
That is cheating. I
Maya
don't accept
receives an
cheating.
image of things that are happening currently.
One
like I
thing
was
that
sitting
I
in a
forgot
room,
to
Fucking
mention,
weird.
due to your time in prison, Taryn, Livia, Vice, Nemea, you all have 3 points of exhaustion.
Oh, that's
Oh,
surprising.
great.
Yeah, get your shouting
Even
out.
after
Oh, what is this? What is this life?
Criminal
bad.
life, bitch. Doesn't pay.
Criminal. 3
X
points.
or-
Free exhaust.
Slash, you
Okay,
just
we'll
made
go over that
200
later.
gold. You know, it's up in the air.
Didn't make it. My dad gave away his hard-earned cash. I'll have you know.
So, for those of you that are here, Taryn, you've got 3 points of exhaustion relevant to this situation. You know, I believe you're aware what you were doing and why you would also be suffering this exhaustion, Taryn. Is that correct?
Oh, very much, yes.
Good, okay.
I would be like visibly baggy-eyed, just sort of like fucking. I want to die right now.
Was he also being a bitch?
So, Asteros, you are training your latest recruit. as far as you're aware, you are to meet with a number of people, which you will subjectively be overseeing, as it were. But for now, they have brought you a individual that they have told you will be part of your squadron, however you want to name it for now. And you've decided to show him the ropes. He's clearly not at his best. You don't mind. And I need both of you to roll initiative, please.
Woo!
Taran
Let's
and
roll the
Asteros.
game.
And do you know what? For the sake of it,
on.
I'm going to pull the rest of you in here so that you've got something to look at. How do I get rid of that?
They're in.
Get rid of
This
this.
sucks.
Wait,
I
why do we get?
think I
Why
have to
why
do
do we get to
this.
see?
Because otherwise you're just looking
he's
at the
being
Stalvan
nice.
map.
Yeah, but more.
Yeah, it's more RP in line, but for the
Don't-
sake of you not
no,
being bored out of your head, I'll show you what's happening.
We always
Uh,
find ways to entertain ourselves.
It would just be
Speak
like
for
20
yourself.
minutes of the camera.
You're on your own.
You're in the bad books, man.
Fuck you, man.
You need to solidly RP morning for the next however long this takes.
Well, I'm trying. I'm waiting
Just
for him to
try.
get to me so I can get it over. with. Gosh.
Right, let me
just
change the
try.
music.
This is the first stage. This is anger. Then comes
Looks like
denial.
the bot gave up.
Oh God. Oh my Lord, please.
God, he's drinking his sorrows away.
No,
Oh,
that's it.
I
poor
think
man.
the bot is not going to do what I'm asking, so I'm going to disconnect it.
I am, and not only have I got to deal with this anger done because of
Okay.
old man, fucking what's his name? What's his name?
Zuko.
Zuko, old man
Old man
Zuko. Like I promised him,
Outed you.
he outed me hard.
You don't even know that he's outed you.
I
You're
know.
living
You
your
don't know
life.
shit.
Yeah, you're fine,
I
shut up,
I
man.
know.
Where's the fucking clock? There we go. Right. So, Asteros 13. Is your dex 10 or 9? No, 10 or 11? Asteros?
asterisk.
Dex. My dex is 11. Sorry.
Okay, fair enough. Then that is a +0. You have done it correctly. Cool. So, that puts Taran first.
Yep.
Taran, as far as you're aware, you've been brought out to essentially fight this guy. He is training you in some sort of not very well explained way, but you've been told that you've been given the same offer that the rest of the group were given. You accepted, and you have since been brought from the various prison cells to meet who is essentially your leader as far as you're aware, and his first act is to sort of size you up and just be like, you don't look like much, let's see it. So,
Was I given a rule as to like using magic or anything, or is it just like sort of all free for all sort of thing?
magic is
So-
legal in Stalvan.
I've just been generally in this battle, like
It's legal here too,
Correct.
you're in Stalvan.
you know,
Do's it.
well,
Ah,
Yeah.
but one thing I do need to add, as a result of spending so long in prison and not really getting proper sleep, you don't have second or third level spell slots right now.
Oh, okay.
You know who that token looks like?
is there anything else like
Your
disadvantage on certain things?
So your 3 points of exhaustion are giving you disadvantage on ability checks, half speed, disadvantage on attack rolls, and disadvantage on saving throws. Other than that, you just don't have third or second level spell slots.
He looks
basically
like
disadvantage on
he looks like
rounds.
Link's dad from Links to the Past when he gave him his sword.
Disadvantage on ability checks, disadvantage on attack rolls, saving
No.
throws, and your speed has been halved.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
But it is your go. Also, if you guys want to put your health on your tokens, that would be useful.
They're just in the
Do you want
black.
to tell Adam how?
You need to
I
give
did
me
tell
my
him
health.
how.
you
Your
need
health
to
is
give
on
me
your
my health.
character sheet.
I just realised I don't actually have the core stuff. Fucking damage listed on here for
Oh
some
yeah, it
reason.
is.
What
So
are
I'm
we,
gonna do that. But basically,
So you want to
I
click
am-
your token, go to the cog, and put it in the bar 1 green section, current and maximum.
where the fuck is?
Also, this is like nowhere near the music I was going for.
Are they? Sorry, I'm lost. Are they actually? Are they fighting?
they are seemingly fighting. Not that you're here,
I mean, we
but
don't
yes,
know
it seems
anything.
they're fighting.
They're just in a black space for me.
A black space?
Yes, they're not on a map. They're just in the void.
Zoom out.
They're just
Yeah, zoom
in
out.
black.
Hmm.
What? Zoom out? Why would zooming out?
Yeah.
help? They're still in the black.
Welcome back to Final Fantasy.
Fix your shit. I don't know.
They're in the black guys.
Why is this a me issue?
Because I guess not Max, I guess Ulrich and Adam can see it?
I'm restreaming on another monitor and I can see it on that as well. It's okay on
Give me a
stream.
second. I'm just gonna go around.
It's very much Lucy. It's not relevant. Take your turn.
I don't care. Yeah, it's just in the void.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Don't be
There we go.
selfish.
It's a tiny room. Nobody.
Bastard.
It's nothing very relevant.
Oh, it's nothing relevant.
Also, I
So I
really
guess I
can't
don't get to
read your
drive.
health.
It's just a tiny.
Oh, but it is
room.
there. Okay, cool.
What happened? Is it fixed or what?
It doesn't matter. She's not in the fight.
Either way,
Ah.
I'm just like visibly tired. I've like grabbed my quarter stuff out and it's just sort of like leant against my shoulder. I'm just like, well, I guess I must do a good job. And I just sort of begrudgingly step a bit forward and lunge towards him
Okay.
and go to just smack towards his legs with the quarter staff. It's just an initial.
Lucy,
attack.
can you kill your mic? I don't know. I'm guessing you didn't switch to push to talk.
Oh no, I think we changed the.
You're just coming through twice is all.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, roll them as you head forwards and attempt to strike.
Just a straight up D20 to hit. And I've got disadvantage on it, haven't I?
Adam,
Yes.
or Asteros, if you go to the cog in the top right of roll 20, where you'll see your name,
Mm-hmm.
in the curly brackets, I need you to
Yep.
put your AC, which will be on your
Okay.
character sheet just above your health.
Yep.
And in the square brackets, I need you to put your passive perception, which is 12. Okay, are you dual wielding, Taryn?
No, I'm just two-handing like a core staff.
Why did you roll twice?
Because disadvantage.
Ah, okay, cool. 10 both times. So both
yeah.
times a miss. Asteros, this
Yes.
figure, you recognize him as somebody that you've been told you're going to be training. He looks weak and slightly pitiful as he steps forwards to you, tired and obviously not at full strength. He brings the butt of his quarterstaff up, trying to kind of knock you on the chin and just kind of end this before it begins, and just fully kind of steps back and goes very wide. It's a little bit embarrassing, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, if this is the kind of person that you're going to be training, they're going to need a decent lesson if they're going to be up to your standard. It's your turn. What would you like to do?
So I'm going to openly mock that attempt, first of all. You scrawny, mangy lad. If that's your best, I may be old, but I'm not slow. Tell me, boy, what is your name?
Taran.
He
You
exclaimed.
may be You may be exhausted, but I hope your reflexes are up to the task. And I'm gonna swing my warhammer.
Okay, so /R space D20 plus whatever your to hit is with your warhammer, which should be the middle box on your weapon.
Yep, +5. 21.
That'll hit. So roll damage on it.
Okay, and that is D8.
Are you're single-handing,
Yep.
one-handing this sword?
One-handing the warhammer.
Okay, so it's a D8
Yep.
plus strength. So it should be a D8 plus 2,
Yes.
which it looks like we haven't written on your warhammer. You also have extra attack, which means you get to attack again.
Oh,
That ain't fun.
So Taryn, you take 4 damage as Asteros says what he says and just clocks you to the shoulder with his warhammer. It shunts you out of position a little bit, and as you use your quarterstaff slammed hard on the ground to reach back up to your feet, it looks like he's not done.
and I'm gonna do exactly the same again.
Yeah, you can press up on the directional pad and it will cycle through your most recent rolled things. So you can press up twice and it should be on your roll to hit, which means you don't have to type it out the whole time.
That's it. So seeing Taran kind of stagger as he gets hit in the shoulder. I'm not done with you yet, boy. Swing again. 17.
That'll hit. So roll damage.
8.
Nice. So a total of 12 damage. It's a harsh lesson, Taran, as the hammer swings down once more. You're not too sure who this guy is. His reputation is not known to you in the slightest. And given that you came here, you're not a citizen of Stalvin. You're not really au fait with the various people within its walls. It is your turn. What would you like to do, Taran?
I'm sort of like a grunt because I've just been smacked quite heavily, and do that kind of hunchback, pull my left hand down, charging up this like crackling energy, and just zip forward straight towards his chest.
Okay.
So I can grasp on him. I don't want to get it up on my phone if I didn't drop it on the floor. Oh shit. I'm also casually humming along to this drum tune.
Is this the Genova theme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't copyright claim me, YouTube.
Definitely will.
Yeah, they definitely will.
I'll say it. And disadvantage because I'm a sucky. Please don't be less than 4.
Hey, you've done that twice now, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so definitely hits. I'm gonna cut in and out as I go get another drink.
Okay.
9.
Nice.
Middle ground. It's good enough.
So do you stay where you are?
Nope. Following that, I will jump back a couple of spaces, and because of shocking grasp, he can't take a reaction. So I just sort of like ready the quarterstaff in my hands,
Hear them?
in like a pose of just come near me and smack you in the legs, boy.
Give me one
But very
sec.
just defensive.
Yeah, I missed all of that. Carry on. You dealt the damage that you dealt,
Yep.
and then what happened, sorry?
I back up into the corner, ready up my quarterstaff in like a defensive stance.
Okay, so one thing for Asteros, when somebody is within melee range of you and they then leave your range of their own accord, you can make what's called an attack of opportunity. Essentially, they've turned your back and you're swinging at them as they try and get away. So it uses your reaction. If you have other things that you would rather use your reaction for, which I don't think you do, you don't have to do an attack of opportunity, but you'll almost always want to. So you basically get a free turn to try and hit him now. So
this is a glancing blow as he's
exactly.
backing off.
Yeah. So if you want to roll to hit,
Yeah.
you only get the
Not
one
now.
hit, despite the fact that you have extra attack. And if it hits, you'll deal damage, and then it will still be your turn afterwards.
Gotcha.
But it won't do it right now because of shocking grasp.
Oh, why? What's... Oh, does Shocking
Just
Grasp
shocking
kill the
Dance
reactions?
reaction.
Yeah.
My bad.
Ah.
Fair enough. So yeah, no reaction for you as he moves away.
But normally, you'd be fine.
Normally that's how it works. It is then your turn, Asteros.
Okay. So I'm going to move within range as well.
Uh-huh. Very
Okay.
good. If you ever want to
And-
see how far you moved as well, you can press X and it will tell you in feet how far you moved. You're limited to your speed, which I believe is 30 feet,
Gotcha.
which is usually
Okay.
6 boxes, but I forget how I fucked with this map to make it fit.
So, a spellcaster, eh? I know a touch myself. I'm going to cast Divine Smite.
Okay, nice. I think you have to hit first.
Oh,
So
in that case,
Divine
let's do
Divine Smite, I believe, is off the
It's the
back
second-
of a confirmed hit. Let me just check.
Yeah, you
Oh, I'm not typing, and now I don't know where I've typed that. Let's bring it up here. Come along, internet. Okay, so when you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, so you can hit him first. You don't have to burn Divine Smite or any slots to charge Divine Smite until you know you've hit.
Okay, let's swing first. 17?
That'll hit.
Okay.
Let me just add some things. One sec. So, firstly, it's clear that this guy is not heavily armored. You're aware now from this fight so far that you're dealing with a caster, and it kind of informs you that he's going to be relatively easy to hit in terms of just general melee attacks. But what you're very aware of is that this fight ultimately, it's not about winning. It's about teaching him what will be expected of him. And Taran, this is something that you're starting to understand a little bit as well. As you can tell that Astaros, there's no venom here. There's no aggression in his strikes. It's clearly tactical and well placed. What you will be doing will have you not always ready when danger strikes.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
I would imagine what he would see in my face is, despite my exhaustion, there's like a level of focus that's like, there's a weird energy coming from me where I'm quite like, just there's that like reflex in me that's just quickly zipping me into whatever poses. It's not refined in any way, but it's still there.
So it's clear to you, Asteros, that Taran is trying despite his situation. So you hit with a 17. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna use that divine smite.
Okay.
Yep. It's a harsh lesson. So this is 2d8s.
If you use
Do I hit normally and then?
So if you expend, so yeah, you hit normally anyway, so you can roll normal damage. But what you could also do is, if your damage is a D8, you could make it 3d8. It's 2d8 for a first level slot and a d8 for every spell level higher than first, to a maximum of 5d8.
Okay.
So that's 9 damage from the standard hit, and then it's 2d8 if you're using a first level slot, 3d8 if you're using a second level. I think you only have up to second level currently.
Yeah, no, I used the first.
Okay, and then make sure that on that page with your spells, you mark off that spell slot. What's the +2 about?
That was the strength modifier. Or does that not apply to
That
Divine
doesn't
Smite?
apply to Divine Smite. Yeah, so it's 10.
Reroll that.
No, it's fine, it's
Yeah.
10.
Okay,
So
sure.
19 damage total, Taran.
Oof.
Press F.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, Taran,
I'm only
it's then
doing it
your
'cause I love
turn.
you.
I just, knowing that this isn't really a fight I can win, I'm just like, I'm going to show him as much of the extent of power that I feel like I can muster at this point, and I put my thumbs together, hold my hands out, and just this crackle of fire explodes out in a cone in front of me. With a burning hand.
Okay. Despite what Max thinks, you do not proceed to recite Itsy Bitsy Spider.
No. All big fish, little fish, cardboard box. That's no. So just like,
It's funny.
Your voguing has no power here.
He's so sexually
I refuse to
promiscuous.
submit to the group.
He begins to nosebleed so heavily that he loses all of his hit points. Falls backwards.
Oh god.
Is Burning Hands a save of some description?
yeah, deck saving throw.
Okay,
Dex.
so Asteros, the top small number under Dex
Yep.
is the save.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it's going to be shit for you.
So it's 11. So sorry, do I roll? What do I roll for that?
So it's a D20 plus whatever the small number in your Dex save is.
Right.
Which I'm guessing is a +0, so you roll a D20.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is why your initiative is a plus nothing.
Yep. 17.
You rolled
That'd
high.
be-
Okay, does he take half?
Yeah, half damage.
Okay.
Successful. It's 3d6.
So Taran makes this gesture with his hands and sort of Kamehameha style pushes his hands towards you, and a burst of fire ejects from them. It flows all over you, but you just about manage to bring that shield up. It's quite a large shield. Despite the fact that you're no dwarf, you're quite a tall guy yourself, but the shield you carry is weighty and quite large. You manage to bring half of it up in time to kind of only catch the glancing blows of the fire, and you suffer 6 fire damage instead of full 12. Decent roll, though.
Very.
Okay.
If he literally got 2 lower, then I would have done the full damage.
Asteros, it is then your turn.
You certainly appear to have some skill, my boy. You surprise me. However, this is not the end. I'm going to swing my hammer again. That is... Nope, wrong roll.
Yeah, wrong roll. If it was just the wrong modifier, we would have taken the roll, but
get the
that's
bad
damage.
rolls out of the way. Get them out.
Well, that's...
Oh,
there it is!
Oh,
That's... it was meant to be!
Oh,
So-
God.
As he
Asteros.
says that, I will just do a slight smirk.
As you say this, Asteros, you see this smirk cross Taran's face, as despite the fact that he's clearly not fit for this kind of fight, he quickly just whips the butt of his quarterstaff and catches your thumb around your warhammer, forcing you to drop it to the ground. Let me just draw it on the floor here.
Oh god.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like. It's got no crappy emerald in this one.
Oh. It's okay, I only dropped the outline.
The physical thing's still there. I just can't grasp it for some reason. So not only do you miss, but he brings the quarterstaff up, smacks the back of your hand, and you drop the warhammer to the floor. Just
Yes,
as this
sir.
happens, we cut back to the group. The main group. So,
Hi, main group.
Vice,
Yes.
you're standing over the grave of your now deceased wife, Fina. You see other graves around you, names that you don't recognize, and time frames that have long since passed. It seems that hers is easily the most recent, but within like centuries. As we mentioned previously, it's clearly an honor here for her to be buried here, and you feel like she's getting the respect in death that she deserved in life. It's unfortunate that things ended the way they did. You're uncertain as to where the rest of the group are. What do you want to do?
Oh man, it's like the moment has passed. Like in my emotionally, it's passed. I was ready. I was ready. Okay. I'm gonna go and speak to her, I guess.
Okay. What do you say?
I don't know, like I don't really say much at the beginning. I just stand over the grave and just kind of like, Fina, despite my character and how I portray myself to others, I'm not one for words. Basically, I don't know, like, I'm sorry that I wasn't really there. Can you put some music on at least? It's something that kind of
So much more impactful
drowns
without it.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry, like, I'm sorry that I didn't make it in time. And, I just want you to know that, I did everything in my power, despite what you may have seen that I got up to during the time. Despite everything, I did everything I could, and I'm sorry, and I'm just sad that you didn't get to meet my comrades, my friends. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet them, because they're great. They're a great bunch, and yeah. It's a bit dramatic, isn't it? But yeah, sure, that's cool.
You literally asked for it.
Yeah, I did. So, but yeah, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep this close because I know that she gave me the
Dawnstone.
Dawnstone. I got the Dawnstone. Was that always the thing that was around my neck? Sorry.
Yeah, you did sort of tie it there. Or
What are you
attempt-
laughing for?
Like,
Yeah, so she gave you the Dawnstone.
I only just turned the music up.
Yeah, you have to turn it up to hear it.
I was like, what's he on about? And it was
I
like,
am so sorry, anyone who's
I
watching.
was like, oh.
They feel that I'm taking the drama away from this moment, but you know, as my character said, I'm not good at this type of thing, despite what anyone sees. So,
She gave you the Dawnstone. Not only
She
that,
gave me the
but this is the
Dawnstone.
last time. If you die in the war, which you're about to be a part of, most people die in war, I would say. It's probably a fair
Yeah, yeah,
assumption.
yeah.
This will be the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
time you will see the grave of your wife.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
So-
sure, he says.
No, hey!
Give him a
You
second.
don't know that this conversation is happening. The mayor.
Just
All
go back
right.
to the
If he
shadow
hasn't
quarter or
pulled me
whatever.
away,
Find that brothel.
Can you stop bringing up all the bad shit that's
Hold up.
happened? This
Let
is
me
meant
mute
to be
everyone
like-
else. Hang on.
This is meant to be a good moment here, but
mute. There we go.
Um,
Carry on.
So yeah, this is the last time you're gonna see me, and I find you didn't mute her. Get rid of her. Get rid
Who?
of this one here.
Oh, it's only me that's muted them? Oh, they're only muted to me.
Oh, shame. Okay.
Hold on. New plan.
You know what?
Continue.
You know what? I love
No.
you. I love you,
Done.
Fina. Like, but there's all this madness going on in my head, and I can hear people talking to me and shit. So
Ignore the demons in your head.
So like I'm sorry, and I'm going into war now. So this is the last time I'm gonna see. And job done. I'm gonna move on.
I love you.
I love you.
feel
I
like
did say I love her. I did say I love her earlier on. I already said I love her. Like, why are you making this more awkward than it already is?
Understandably, there is no response.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fives, Mr.
But-
2.
It started off so well. Why did you not have to start talking? Like, oh,
You,
What's on you?
You feel a comfort having had this conversation, that you've done the right thing. Bringing her back to the Temple of Varela was important, and having her laid to rest here was something that you guys wanted to do.
I swear.
Having had this, it's still fresh in your mind, but at the same time, you're good to carry out your day. You're ready to move out, not so much move on.
Hi, babes.
Also, I kicked Lucy and Ulrich, and I'm not sure if they know how to rejoin Discord at this point. It was
How did you kick them?
It was the only way to make them shut up.
They were talking?
Yeah,
I was on mute. I was loud, but I was on mute, so it's fine.
that's fine.
Yeah, I swear. I was like, I was
kicked
in the
them from
moment
the entire
at the beginning.
fucking thing.
And
I
then,
think I
and then the
kicked them from
moment
the
was
server.
killed. The moment was killed when the brothels got brought up, and and like what else got brought up?
Put up! You're standing there talking to your dead wife's grave, and you're like,
We almost had a
So-
moment, you guys. We almost
I know,
did
I
it.
took
That
some
was almost
detours.
top tier. I applaud the effort. We
I
got
think-
close.
When you get the recording, if you could just edit out the laughs, there's a really
Yeah.
good soliloquy in there.
There is.
Like the background,
That
the
was a
background
nice-
laughter track is really
That
inappropriate.
was a nice moment. It's like, if we got the fucking editors from The Big Bang Theory to fucking put their shit on this, it's like the fucking. Oh, it's like a sad scene from any film, but with the fucking laugh track of some stupid bullshit.
Now we
Where
have
are
to
they?
mourn both Taran and Nemea because they're both gone as well.
Yeah, I think I had to re-invite them to the server, which I've just done. Ulrich's definitely re-invited. I could see him.
He's on roll 20.
Yeah, I did kick you from
Oh,
the server.
fucking hell,
That's what
Rhoda's
happened.
laughing. Rhoda's laughing at the whole thing. The whole thing. Like, she's... Okay. Rhoda's. She said she told me I should have played this song during that moment.
She got a different song.
Yeah, she has a different song, but it doesn't matter. It's done now.
That's all I have.
It's
So,
over now. I'm a free man. I can move on with my life.
We'll see how that goes.
I wish you'd have met my friends. They were so cool.
So,
Yeah.
having
No, there
had
was-
this conversation with Fina, as it were, what do you do, Vice? Are you attempting to rejoin the group? What do you want to do?
I'm gonna leave the grave, but after placing my hand for a long period of time and just resting it on the grave stone and just slowly and cliche like kind of walking off with my hand. Slowly leaving the grave.
Mm-hmm. Livia,
Hi.
alongside Nemea, who's oddly silent as
Hi.
she tries to work out
Fucking
Discord well
Vice.
enough to
What?
to get back into the server.
Are they
You're
gonna
heading
come
into
in or
town. What do you want to do?
I want to go to. Shit, I don't write it. I wrote it under my herbs. The Saquin Sands. Samquin
trying.
Sands.
Just whilst
That's
I
what I
find
wrote.
music, keep trying to pronounce it.
Did you-
Saquin. Saquin. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
Saquin.
Sticking to it?
Oh, yeah.
Saquin. Saquin.
Sanguine.
Sanquin.
Saquin.
One of those places.
Oh man, the bot does not like playing new music when it's been paused. Bear with me.
What did when you kicked them for that moment?
Yeah.
Did you kick them
There
from
you go.
Skype as well?
No, they're in
Yeah.
Skype. Ulrich's just not at his PC. I can see him. Like his feed is still coming through.
I
He's
can't
just
see
not
nothing.
there.
There's just nothing there.
There's
No, I've
black,
just got black
but
screen.
he's there.
Yeah, there's a black
No, yeah, like when you've got my feed, you've got the cut feed, but he's there. Sevi, mute yourself and call them. Tell them to get in the fucking thing. Okay, so, oh shit, no, I needed to speak to her as well. Where are
Well,
you
say
going?
that on
Sanguine Sand. This is such a clusterfuck. Right, so Livia, you remember the layout of Stalvin. You're able to get around easy enough. And after a few hours of traveling from the Temple of Arella to the Market Square, you find your way to the Sanguine Sand. You remember from your time here before that there is a proprietor of the Sanguine Sand called Silperin. She's a half-elf lady, a little bit older than you, but not by much. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna walk up to her and introduce myself.
Okay, she finds that odd because you've met before, but she
Oh.
she looks
Sorry,
at
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm trying to ring Lucy for you. I'm
Alright,
trying
it's
to.
fine. I should
pay
have got
attention
somebody
to
else to call Lucy. I don't know what they're doing. Like Ulrich's in Discord. Lucy just needs to accept the invite. Hang on. I've invited her again, but I'm going to copy it and private message it to her. I don't know.
What happened to him?
I don't know. Like Ulrich's in Covoland, he's just not joining for some reason. Obviously, he's not at his PC, and Lucy doesn't seem to be accepting the invite back into Covoland. I don't know why. For those of you that are on the stream, Covoland is the server name of our Discord.
Oh yeah.
It's like Disneyland, but shit.
All about you. Every time we join it, we have to give a prayer to Josh.
I mean, that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you not do that when you
Oh.
join other Discord servers? Thought that was a normal thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I hope they weren't all millennialed by
I don't know what that
booting them.
means.
Yeah, means offended.
Oh, I see. I did not follow. I don't know. It seems like such an easy thing to just rejoin the Discord. Sevi's talking to them, but I can't hear her. The thing is that I would totally cut back to Taran v Asteros, but kind of requires Taran.
Does a bit.
A little bit.
is she explaining to them
I don't know.
like
I
the
don't know what
situation? It seems like she's really actually explaining what's going on or what happened.
Hey Max, in the
Alright.
absence of stuff
Brief
happening, should we just
interlude.
do a
You guys
voiceover
chat.
for
BRB.
Yeah.
Mic
Yeah.
off.
Okay. Oh, what do you mean that? It's like again.
You know, you be Sevi and I'll be Taran and Lucy.
Oh no, wait. Hang on. Hello. Shut up. Whoa, why? Come on. Why? Yeah, obviously, it wasn't just me. Like,
But he's so mean to a sister.
well, that's your problem, isn't it?
I know, but we're dealing with some really emotional things right now. I'm getting beaten up in a dungeon.
Well, hang on, mate. Come on. You got to understand that you were being a dick, and you were making up noise when he was trying to have an emotional moment. I mean, come on.
I should have taken Sevi. I don't know those guys.
Should we swap?
Well,
Let's swap.
yeah, roll
Let's
reversal.
swap.
Roll reversal.
Okay, go on.
Thinking intensifies.
But I don't think you understand. Like, Josh shouldn't have to kick us out of the room just because we're having a.
You know what he's like? He has anger problems.
Well, that doesn't excuse him. He should like allow us to roll, to RP if we want to.
Well, yes, but he's been drinking. Here, I'll hand the phone to him.
It's like, wait. You should have done nom 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 nom. Josh, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, why are you not coming back into the group? Because you're being mean. You kicked us out. Why'd you kick us out of the group?
Well, you see, we've been trying to write you out of the story for a while now, and thought doing it mid-stream was a really appropriate way and time of doing it.
Yeah. You know what? I love these guys, man. I swear down. No hate. Pure love.
No,
Pure love.
it is
Pure love, man. It's just a bit of
Nom nom
joke,
nom
man.
nom nom nom.
Nom 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 nom.
Take it
Nom
over,
nom
Simeon.
nom.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whoosh.
Oh,
Nom
no.
nom. Nom nom. Hey? Hey? Oh, what is going on, man? Seriously.
Hello. We've lost like everyone. It's just our improv show now.
No, like, what the hell?
I know. Hey, guys in the chat, if you want to just write in comments, we'll RP them as our characters.
Nice.
What,
Sorry,
what's
guys.
going on?
Having internet issues. Just was trying to talk them through how to sort out Discord.
Okay, cool. So don't
Sorry, we were trying to have like a
don't-
Yeah.
converse
Don't
thing.
rewatch the stream.
There's no need to
from
rewatch
5
the
minutes
replay.
ago.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm gonna rewatch the stream from
You don't need to do
about
that,
5
yeah.
minutes ago.
No, you really don't. You really don't.
One sec. Feel bit.
Nom nom nom.
Nom. I swear, I love this girl. I love this girl. We're just trying to kill time and find something entertaining to do.
Yeah, you gotta fill the dead air.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really sorry for your loss, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, despite what these these voices in my head were telling me. Oh shit,
gotta-
Witcher, nice. No, honestly, I really actually wanted to because throughout the story, you've obviously watched it up until this point, but it may be a bit questionable about where my love is a little bit, so I actually kind of wanted to kind of express it a bit more.
Yeah.
And
Well, you could bring it back, but it's going to be a little bit sort of out of context now. You'll be walking along a dirt road and just be like, "Oh God, I miss her," and then
yeah.
and then at that point, give Josh the signal on camera, and then he'll mute everyone, and then you could do your monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we can't do the voiceovers. No one's talking. We've lost Josh. Sevi's given her phone away.
What's that?
It's not-
What?
Oh, I was going to narrate the comments, but oh, hold on, that looks like Josh's arm.
What? How does booting someone from the internet cause this?
He
I
kicked
mean,
them out of Discord.
sorry. I mean, booting them out of the internet.
But he did. That's the thing. He kicked them so hard he broke their router.
Yeah. Oh my god! Damn! I laughed so hard that it realigned my back. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh, come on. Be cool. Be cool.
Oh
Be cool.
god!
Mic on.
Seriously?
Hello.
Hey guys.
Oh, hell.
Hey. I'm sure you said nothing but nice
not
things
narrating
about me
like
as I
that.
heard
We
you
were
guys
totally. Yeah. we were totally-
Yeah.
downstairs.
I mean, totally.
Yep. We stayed in character the whole time. And since we're in different parts of the world, it was very quiet.
Hmm.
Boom.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yamalom.
Okay, so assuming that Nemea is following you, Livia,
Cheers.
where did you want to go?
We're at my alchemist.
Oh,
Josh,
yes, my
I
bad.
walked in and introduced myself to the woman I know.
My bad.
T's on, and he's asking him, because I'm telling him I can't see his comments.
Okay.
So
How do you want me to help with that?
I don't know. He wants me to obviously acknowledge him, and I don't know what he's
Oh,
saying.
you can't.
Hello,
They said you like
Terry.
to milk cows. He's talking in the stream.
We can see
Yeah,
him.
Mm.
I'm gonna go ahead and go back to just doing my thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
So.
gonna say hi
Yep.
and tell her that I'm getting interested in alchemy, and is there any kind of starter kit she can get me set up with? Because I'm not staying. I've got to leave like today. But,
Yes.
no.
We actually we spoke not too long ago. I provided you with some notes. It was sort of the best I had about my various wares here.
What was that here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she
I
gave
don't
you
feel like
the.
it was.
she
I've
gave
had
you the
these
alchemy
like
notes.
hundreds of sessions.
Mm-mm. She gave you the
Okay,
alchemy
fine.
notes. I mean, I might be wrong, but I'm
Hey.
almost certain I'm not.
Like I've had these on my character sheet for ever.
I don't know
And we've
about
only
that.
been in Starvin for like 2 sessions.
No.
Okay,
they're
well,
back.
you're wrong,
Oh,
but
they're
whatever. Fine, I'll leave. If
You've
she's giving me
been-
everything she's got, then there's not really much more to it.
You've been in Stalvin for 10 sessions. I know that by the session names.
Whatever, it's fine. I'll leave. But
Okay.
what's the point? If I've got everything I've got from her, then I'm not gonna. This is a.
Well, she's...
I think I'd spoken to her. I didn't know that.
Okay, cool. So, you remember from previous experience. You've been here before. You had a chat with her in regards to trying to get into alchemy. She wasn't overly helpful. Her stock
Surely
had been...
alchemy's a part of magic.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Her stock had been limited by the fact that there was a magic ban, but she did provide you with the notes that, as we agreed, would work like any one of the books from the other professions. Let me just pull up one of those. I'll just go with the culinary artisan one. So
That's
essentially,
fine.
it's not just for you. Essentially, if you have like a student level book, you can get the DC down and up through the levels quicker in terms of trying to progress through a profession. So the notes you have serve as a student level book of alchemy. Ultimately, me and you need to finalize the alchemy profession, which I started like over Christmas.
Aaron's repeatedly saying "oi." I don't know if that means something or if that's old.
Oh,
think
he
he
is
wants to
telling me
acknowledge
to
that
pulling
he's
him
back.
to D&D. Yeah, one sec.
Yep. We can see him, but we can't hear him.
Ulrich, Taryn.
That is indeed my name.
Yay.
My bad. Sorry. Like,
Oh, it's cool.
despite recently saying I'll pull you back into D&D, I then immediately forgot that I need to pull you back into D&D chat. So it's
Yeah,
fine.
thanks. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Livia, you can see that she's clearly more, like, better stocked than she was previously as a result of the magic ban. Given that it's been 2 months and a bit, there have been some deliveries. Do you want to purchase stuff? Or are you just looking for some way to study alchemy?
I just want whatever I need to start studying it. I don't know what that's why I said like a starter's
Yeah,
kit.
you have it. You just need, well, I mean, like I say, we haven't done the profession, but if it works like the other professions, and it definitely will because we made them, then you essentially just need probably some material, like some ingredients, and then the notes
So I've
that you
got
have.
herbs.
Yeah,
like,
herbs, totally. So if
What
you,
am I going to do with them?
Well, again, we need to finalize the profession, but once we do, you'll be able to practice by trying to turn herbs into some sort of potion.
Okay.
So if you want to buy more exotic herbs from her or slightly more obscure things that you might not have come across, she seems to be well stocked.
No, I was thinking more like I need vials and I don't know,
She's got vials?
apparatus that I would need to do it rather than like, if you get, I don't know, like a kit. I don't know what they're called.
So
Like Max has his knives and his cookery stuff.
yeah,
like,
let me
you
check
can't-
if an alchemist kit exists. Bear with me. I'm almost certain it does. I'm pretty sure it's 10 gold. I just need to check. Where the fuck is the books when I need them? I'm pretty sure it's under equipment. There's like a little green table. It's not that one. It is here.
Sorry, I was meant to put on mute and then it just.
So
came
you can
through.
buy alchemist supplies. They are general like vials and like a mortar and pestle style thing, like a
Yeah,
small
that's
one.
kind of what I meant.
Yeah, totally. So that exists. If you don't have anything like that, Silperin sells them. She appreciates somebody trying to take up the craft as a slightly more advanced alchemist herself, so she's willing to offer you a little bit of a discount. She'll do it for 45 gold.
45 gold.
Yeah, I was wrong about the 10 gold.
Jeez. Fucking.
Feel free to chat to her. It's up to you.
Oh. Nah. Oh, I'll just pay it.
Okay.
Fucking hell.
So she, in her nature, kind of awkwardly accepts the gold and gathers. She doesn't have like a pre-packaged one. She lifts you up like a leather-bound box, essentially, and puts a bunch of vials in it. She puts a few cork stoppers in the ones that you can immediately see, and then she kind of looks in there as though it's maybe not enough and just dumps like 5 or 6 more in. She gets you a few basic ingredients. I don't want to open the herbalism thing. Do you have a list of herbs that you already have?
Yeah.
How many do you have of what kind?
How many vials does she give me?
10.
Okay.
But she's given you the stoppers for like 14.
Okay. that's
She's
fine.
not very good at what she does.
I've got 10 dried ephedra. Must be used with weak
Ephedra, yeah.
seed, increased effect. Weak milkweed seed.
How many different types of herbs do you have?
1, 2, 3, 5.
Up them all by 1. Do we have Nemea back? Is she in the... She's not... She's in the server?
Do you need to bring her back into D&D?
No, she's not in general voice yet. Taryn/Ulrich, can you hear me? I just want to see if she wants to do anything in town before we cut back. I don't know what they're doing. Vice, are you doing anything in town?
He was on
Could I
mute.
find... Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
was.
No worries.
Could I find like a potion shop, please?
Yeah, you cut off a little bit at the end there, but the potion shop is probably going to be the alchemist. So, given that you have heard of this place before, you'd probably get here about the same time that Livia's pretty much ready to leave. But you come across the Sanguine Sand. It's the alchemist in the area. As you open the door, you see Livia in there, having just finished her interaction and kind of looking around.
Oh, hey, Olivia.
I'm gonna go find Nemea, and then I'm gonna leave.
She made.
I'm not too sure if Nemea's in the shop. Let's assume she's waiting outside the shop.
I assume she's waiting outside.
Outside to find the shop and lead her to. I can't remember where it.
Like,
You passed her on the way in, Vice.
okay. Like, what's up with her? Okay. Cool. Hello there. I'd like to purchase some potions, please.
Oh, yes, we've got quite a few. What sort of potions are you looking for?
Some health potions, please, if possible.
Yes, bear with me one moment. And she kind of goes under goes under the counter of her counter. She goes under the table bit of her counter. I don't know. I really need to add health potions to my fucking. Oh, I did, but not their price. Great. Yes, I've got quite a few. We've been restocked recently. What sort of are you looking for?
Maybe mixture of all types. If you have like a smaller, do they do it in smaller, greater, and all that stuff? Or?
So we have a standard potion of healing, and she sort of like gets one out and like almost drops it and catches it again, and is just like, yes, this one. And then she like places that down and just motions towards the others. She's like, we have greater potions of healing, and we have superior potions of healing.
Oh, wow.
I don't have the highest tier. They're quite difficult to come by, but I can certainly sell you any of these if you have the coin.
No, sure. No, that's fine. I mean, how much for your small and standard, please?
So the standard ones are 50 gold a piece, and the slightly more prolific ones are 300 gold. And she opens a ledger and starts looking down the price list. I have some of the stronger ones, as I say, the strongest ones that we stock. Those are 750 gold a piece, and the strongest ones would usually set you back about 1,500, but we don't get those in very often, I'm afraid. I could certainly requisition some if you have the coin, but they're quite hard to come by.
Okay. Sorry. Just as off RP is.
So you're looking at 2d4 plus 2 for 50 gold, 4d4 plus 4 for 300 gold, or 8d4 plus 8 for 750 gold.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry. Can you repeat the 4d4? Sorry.
The 4d4 plus 4 is 300.
Okay. And the equivalent of 10 platinum is
100 gold.
Okay. Cool. Let me just get into. Can I get 4 standard ones? Is standard the 2d4?
2d4 plus 2, 200 gold
please.
would be the cost of 4 standard ones.
Yeah, cool. So I can give you just 20 platinum. That should be cool.
So she starts getting them out for you, and you place 20 platinum on the counter. And she's like, "Oh, yes, we don't see platinum too often here. Thank you very much." And she like takes it away, and kind of shakily, there's like a clinking of, and she hands them over to you. She's very like shaky and unsure as she passes them over to you. But you have 4 potions of healing, which deal 2d4 plus 2 healing damage. That's not how that works.
Okay. Also, do you have any potions like like with special abilities, those type of things?
Oh, certainly. I could provide you with any sort of potions you're looking for. Really.
Sure.
We've been, as I mentioned, we've been restocked recently. I've got potions that make you faster, potions that make you more difficult to hit, potions that allow you to breathe underwater. Potions that could.
How much for that one there? Sorry.
For the one that makes you breathe underwater, 400 gold. It's a little uncommon, slightly difficult to make. I actually made one myself recently. I'm almost certain it works, but certainly I could provide you one that's been brought in if you're not willing to take the chance.
No, I'm okay. Thank you. It's just a little bit above my budget. What about
some of the cheaper ones? I could help you climb faster, or perhaps fall in love with somebody, or have them fall in love with you. I could have you
too soon. It's way too soon.
You could perhaps make friends with animals in some fashion. I have a potion that would provide various usefulness in that endeavor. Some of the cheaper ones. Let me see.
Already.
She finds one potion that looks like a flame in a bottle. It's very strange to look at, and then as soon as she picks it up, it kind of like flats down into a reddy, dark, browny liquid. And she lifts up this one, and she's like, "Oh, there's a potion here that allows you to if I remember rightly, and she kind of reads the title on it, the sticker on it, and she's like, I'm almost certain it makes you breathe fire. That's one of the cheaper ones. 350 gold for this one. That's about as low as we get with the stock that we have in. Some of it's very hard to come by, as I've mentioned, and I'm only a bit of a apprentice of enchanting, if you will.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for your, for sorting me out with the potions. I'm good. Thank you.
Of course. Best of the day to you. Good day.
Good day.
Nemea, are you in? Can you hear us?
Yes,
Yeah.
her Discord's up again.
Cool.
Hello.
You wanted to
Do
head.
I sound okay?
You sound fine. Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
We hear ya.
You wanted to head to the Enchanters. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just find where the Enchanters is. Leatherworker.
So if we just keep going down here, you'll see the lamppost to your left, and then there's a
There is no Enchanters. I think it was a jeweler's.
box. But you know we're not going to the enchanters, right? 'Cause,
No,
like,
there was an
we have-
Enchanters. It shut down.
There was.
But it's shut down.
Yeah.
So we could go to the jewelers because don't you use there's like
So you're aware of a
Dust.
place, Livia, once upon a time, called Obstrix Tricks.
I do remember a place. Can't remember what it's called.
Taryn, roll history for me. I'm aware that you're not here for this conversation, but at the same time, I just want to confirm if you remember hearing about a thing.
What was the name of the place, Livia?
Obstrix place or something.
Obstrict.
Yeah.
Like Benjamin Obstrict, the famous enchanting teacher?
Fucking nerd.
Yes, that is what I meant.
Let's
Here's
go.
this away.
Okay, Taryn. So just
Vice will find us.
obscure information that you have, Taryn, from your time with a certain organization when you were younger. You were aware of a man called Sebastian that you dealt with occasionally in terms of trading goods, who had a, I believe, grandfather called Benjamin. And you're aware that he ran an enchanters in Stalvin. So
I will just be like getting hit with an axe.
yeah, this is
Or
like,
arrow, just like, huh.
like one hammer to the head, like Tweety Bird's around. The next hammer to the head, like, I know a guy that works here. The next hammer to the head, like, I wish I could live on the moon. Nemea, you're aware of Sebastian because of your conversations with the jeweler. As you wait for Livia, she comes out having passed Vice, as you did recently, seemingly unimpressed with his general presence, which strikes you as slightly odd. But she...
Normally we're like this, but now we're like this.
Okay.
But she tells you the way to
Have
where...
I seen her? Sorry.
Yeah, you passed her on the way into the
No, I mean-
alchemist.
Do I see her right now, or is she?
No, she's gone outside and you're
I'm
still
outside.
inside.
You're buying potions.
Okay.
Yeah. So Livia guides you, Nemea, where to the place that Obstrix Tricks used to be. As you get there, it's not as boarded up as it once was. What do you want to do?
Spicy.
We should. I should go inside.
Okay,
Right? I should knock on the door. Can I knock on the door?
Yep.
you can.
Hello.
So you knock on the door. It creaks open a little bit as you do it. There's a sort of as it like just opens a little bit. You feel as though you're about to kind of step into a place that is maybe not yours. Do you want to head in anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you step in, you see a darkened room. There is a dusty counter with various kind of plaques, shelving, and space for various items which are empty. There's nothing in any of them. Through a back door behind the counter, you can see a slight gleam. But in the corner, as you open the door, you surprise an older fellow, quite
Who does?
older, Nemea, she went in first. He appears to be human, but you can just generally see him milling about with some boxes in the corner. And as he hears this, he turns around and just goes, we're not quite open yet, but we will be soon. Is there anything? Yes?
I'm going to come up behind Nemea and touch her on the shoulder and cast guidance.
Guidance takes 6 seconds and is very obvious. Like, that's really weird.
Why?
Because there's like a glow from your hand. You can do it, but there's like magic isn't banned. But as he turns around and sees Nemea, he would then see you put a hand on her shoulder that glows for 6 seconds.
I said okay.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Feel my fun much.
So he turns around, says this to you, Nemea, and sort of pushes his glasses up his nose.
Are you Benjamin Benjamin Obstrick?
Yes, I am. I am Benjamin Obstrick. It seems that perhaps my reputation precedes me somewhat. You're perhaps here for some sort of tutelage or specific items. And he looks around the shop like, oh, well, perfect. I can provide you with both. I appreciate that at the moment it might not appear as so, but I can. Are you looking for anything in particular?
I'm looking for something to make myself stronger, physically. Better. I am.
Do you also, and this is very important, do you also want to be physically bigger?
No. No.
I see.
During my last battle, I fell unconscious quite a few times, and I'm looking for something to toughen myself up.
He looks up at your like cracked horn, where the damage was dealt from the fight with the Heart of Dawn. Did you mention that it was sort of like fixed with gold? Was that right?
No, it glows like faintly blue.
It glows
from because it was the ice magic that knocked me out. So it was it's like permanent ice cracked.
I want that shit, man.
You don't have horns.
So I kind of itched like the base of my horn, kind of pointing at it, and it kind of fucked me up.
He looks at you and just kind of, you can see his like hands raise up as though he's like about to almost cast something, and he looks at you and it's just like, I'm
gonna step forward.
Do you mind? And he kind of notices Livia stepping forward. He's like, I'd like to investigate a little bit if that's okay.
I'm gonna look at Nemea like.
He comes up close to you, Nemea.
Looks weird.
It's fine. I want to look at Livia and say it's okay. I know what I'm doing. You can go do what you want to do.
Oh, I'm fine here, thanks.
So he comes up close to you, Nemea, and begins inspecting the cracked horn. And as he sees the various glow from it, he looks at it and is kind of just like, yes. And it's quite powerful magic that seems to have been imparted here.
Ow!
Oh, terribly sorry. Do you find yourself often in these sort of environments? Is the cold and perhaps even ice a factor that you would need to be protecting yourself from regularly?
It is something that comes up. Definitely.
If you would,
as with all elements.
If you would permit me the time, and you perhaps have the coin, I could look to enchant your clothing, as it were, with a boon that would permanently offset this sort of affliction.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Definitely.
It's quite complex. I'm certainly. Say that again, miss. Sorry.
Not dangerous, I hope.
No. I mean, you don't need to be wearing the items when I perform.
Can I insight check it?
Yeah, roll insight. He needs to pee. That's what you learn, either way.
I just imagine Livia right in the corner, just sort of heavily staring, like, the fuck are you doing, man?
I've got this really complex magic that I can't say. 27.
Okay, so he seems like very genuine, but at the same time, there's an element of he doesn't get to stretch his fingers in terms of enchanting very often, and it's been a while. Like, the ban on magic in Starven may have been lifted a couple months ago, but it was in place for ages. Like, before you left Starven, it wasn't in place, but it's been, what, a year and a half since you went and came back, from what I remember in terms of the timeline? So it's been in place for a long time, and a shop like this was shut down from day one. And it seems as though he's only just opening, if opening.
All right. He seems all right. Do we want?
Oh, thank you. I would need your everyday sort of outer clothing, if you have anything.
Whoa.
Olivia.
Certainly, you can stay.
No, this is not the kind of place you want to be. No.
It just seems easier if you would provide it to me, but I could certainly enchant it with the various runes necessary upon your person. It's a bit more difficult, but I could spend the extra time. It's probably going to take me several hours, though. You'd have to stand still.
I'm sure it's fine.
I'm trying really hard.
Olivia, would you mind wrapping me in your cloak or something for a while?
Wrapping you?
We have a back room. If you have other common clothes, you can.
Woman, you are not stripping in this room in front of this man. Yes, that would be great. Thanks. And I'll go grab her hand and lead her off and shut the door. And
just
out of my backpack, I'm going to take my spare traveler's clothes.
just before you go, if that's okay.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, it's quite expensive. There's a fair amount of cost to the various rituals performed, and the cost to the ingredients necessary that are consumed in the enchantment.
How much?
About 500 gold.
Oh, 500.
You best put them clothes back on, like. Back on.
I'm trying to get you to strip and charge you. It's a rip-off.
Just redress slowly and sadly.
Oh.
You would be quite resistant to any sort of cold damage if you were to impart these runes upon your clothing.
I could give you 100 gold for something.
I could
Something.
create a far more temporary enchantment for that sort of price. If you wish it to be permanent, though.
Right, you just hold up right there. What? How much you got? How much
just-
you got?
I whisper to Olivia and I go, 122 gold.
Do you not have any plat?
I have 15.
That's
You realise
150
that's
gold.
150 gold?
Is it?
Yeah.
That's how money works.
Mic off.
Oh,
Ah,
I have a
yeah.
bit more.
Uh-huh. Do you want me to lend you some plat?
No.
You still don't have enough.
Hmm.
You said 500. You've got 15 plat and how much gold?
122.
So if I give you 15, that's 300, 400. Why don't we 400 and I don't know, we'll give him something. Wait, let's see what we...
Barter with him. Charm him.
Mic on.
Yeah, dude,
As part of your
some of us
insight-
are not natural persuaders.
Olivia.
Yeah,
I
I
am.
am. Why you
Natural
take off your
thugs.
guns?
Olivia,
Yeah.
Take off your guns.
as part of
Can
your
I try and
insight
persuade
roll,
him?
Olivia, you can tell that he is roughly a 70-year-old human man.
Mic off.
Oh, then he definitely wants to see something like this. I'm just saying, like,
I can't, man.
Come on,
Like, it's just
come
not
on.
in me. It's
This
not in my
is the time,
character.
like,
I'm
this is
sorry.
the time,
Livia
like,
ain't about that life. Nemea, however, what is your persuasion?
+7. I'm quite good at persuading.
Oh, okay.
There
Well,
you
come
go.
on then.
Can I,
And I will. Do you mind if we go in the back room and discuss? That's quite a lot of money.
Ooh.
Mic on.
I mentioned that he needed to pee. He was actually in the back room as you guys
Oh
discussed.
well,
this.
while he's peeing,
back
can I
out.
cast guidance on her and it be
Yes,
glaringly
you can.
obvious?
You can, because it only
And then
takes
can
6
I give her
seconds.
15 flats?
In that time, you might as well just robbed him.
Hey man,
We need his
Lael's
skills, not
not
himself.
here, okay?
The guy left the room and went to
Leaving his till open.
You know he's not
It took him a while, he's old.
gonna make it.
This 70-year-old man. Oh, Lord.
He comes back out and it's just like, oh, certainly, if you need to use the back room. We should agree a price if you're going to change, though. It'll take me. Well, if you're only
I
after.
don't need to go to the back room if he was in the toilet. I just wanted to cast guidance.
I don't know what that is.
He's like, I don't know what's going on here.
I'm
I
sorry,
wanted to go to the back room to cast guidance on her, and then Josh was like, he was in the toilet. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just do it now.
You were
Now
chatting
he's
for
like,
a while.
Before you go in the room.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I may have stepped away. It's not the most.
Yeah, whatever. Carry on. No matter
invigorating
anything.
conversation with you.
Okay, so I wanna kind of.
70-year-olds need to pee a lot, so maybe just wait. Maybe go again.
And then steal it. I'm terribly sorry. I find myself a little bit forgetful. Have we come to some sort of accord? Are you happy with the 500 gold here?
I'm afraid I don't have quite enough gold. Can I roll persuasion?
You've got to persuade him first.
Yes, you do
Yeah.
need to offer some sort of persuasion. You can't just go, I'm broke, and then roll persuasion.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna say, but I was
I
like,
have
when do I put the
400.
persuasion?
Oh, there you go.
Well,
right,
say
yeah.
what you're going to say, and then roll.
Okay. I just want to make sure I have it the right way. Okay, now I have it ready.
Okay. What do you say?
So I get out my enchanting book and
Mhm.
and I'm like, I'm really learning hard to be an enchanter, just like you are, but I don't have 500 gold, and I just really, I know that I'd learn so much if I watched you do this, and perhaps I could help use my own magic to help you do this enchantment.
I wasn't
or
aware that you
something.
were a purveyor of the arts. I haven't trained anyone in quite some time.
Proper purveyor.
To be honest, I usually charge for the lesson. Roll persuasion.
Proper purveyor.
Oh no!
He's definitely a
Reddit,
purveyor.
no.
This ain't Reddit.
Oh,
Reddit.
oh Lord.
Pray for me. Wait, what do I
Adam
get from
nails it in his
guidance?
first session. Lucy,
It's
400 sessions in.
Sevi,
R/. Yeah.
what's guidance? D4?
D4.
Yeah, so D20
Doesn't
plus
roll it.
D4 plus 7.
Ah,
5
no!
times. Okay, so he says to you, well, if you're intending to learn something here, I honestly, I'd usually charge extra, so I'm happy to do you a bit of a deal and throw the lesson in for free, but you'd need to come up with the 500 gold if that's okay. How much do you have? I'm looking to make the deal here. I'm starting up again, as you can see, and if we can come to an accord, it benefits me as well.
I'm afraid I only have 400 gold. That's the highest I could go.
Well, if we said 400 without the lesson, I could take some time, admit some other commissions that some friends of mine have put in recently. It would take about 6 or 7 hours, but I could certainly have it ready for you. Are you
I
saying
could
this out
pick it up
loud,
today?
Lydia?
Yeah. I didn't want to interrupt you, but
No,
we need
that's
it
fine.
today.
Yes, I could have it for you today. It would be ready about sort of early evening, late afternoon.
If I what about if I chucked in another 3 plat? Maybe you don't have to teach her, but she could stay and watch.
It seems that maybe expedience is more valuable to you than tutelage at this time. If you throw in the 30 plat, I'll start an hour sooner, and you can have it by mid-afternoon. Is that?
No, that
Acceptable?
won't be necessary. That won't
Do
be
I know when we got to meet the guards? Like, does it matter?
You don't, but you think it's soon. They've been looming the entire time.
Okay, I'll just give him the extra 3 plat and be like, just do it ASAP.
Certainly. I'll contact you through various means when it's ready.
Sweet. Okay, let's go.
So-
We should go find Vice.
Now that we do have an accord, I will need your outer clothing if that's okay.
Oh, this man and clothes.
I need
on.
something to enchant. I'm sorry. It's,
Yeah, well, a selfish bastard, you go in there asking for clothes.
there are ways to enchant the flesh, but it's not.
I'll take her in the
something
back
I
room
practice.
and give her my spare traveling grab.
Okay.
And we'll
So
give you the stuff.
Nemea switches into your Astros. Yes, they entirely are. So you switch into the different clothing, Nemea. You pass him your main clothing, and in the meantime, we switch back to the fight between Taran and Asteros.
Fuck yeah.
So,
Wow.
I believe it is Astaros' turn,
How
except it's
perfectly
not
timed.
because he
It's
just
mine,
he
because
just
he
dropped
attacked
his
me.
warhammer. So,
Yep.
Is
Taryn.
that his hammer on the floor?
How'd I do that?
yeah, that's his hammer on
Can
the
you
floor.
not tell?
It's
Yeah.
1 to
Hammer
1. What do you
shaped.
mean? That is
I have
perfect
my check.
graphics.
Yeah.
I used the Unreal Engine to generate that. How dare you?
Don't you have the graphic of just the Warhammer alone?
No.
Oh.
I
That's too
didn't.
much
I didn't
graphic.
cut the Warhammer
That's way
off your
too much
token
graphic.
to edit it. I just edited it.
Oh, okay.
So, Taryn, you just see this douche drop his hammer on the floor as you twat his hand with your quarterstaff. What do you want to do?
Having done that, because I would have used my left hand to
Oh, nice.
smack
Gonna
it
get more
away,
drink.
my right hand coils up towards my side, and more
Mic
thundering
off.
energy ripples up my arm as I shoot this beam of lightning into his chest and use Witch Bolt. Which,
Oh shit.
Roll to
Yeah,
hit.
it's a roll to hit, yeah.
Duh. That's what Josh said, not me.
Mhm.
I vaguely heard him.
See, I told you. He was like, duh.
Oh wait, no. Yeah, 13,
Now Josh
I
is
don't
calling me
hit.
names because, douche. Love you. 20 to hit. No, wait, he's hit throw twice. I'm confused.
I did a disadvantage.
He did a disadvantage, so it's 13. He has failed.
I did
That
fail.
misses, as per DM ruling.
Yes. I'm aware. I'm very sad by this.
He is sad.
Okay, so you roll to hit with
Thank
the
you for the
Witch Bolt. It
translations.
unfortunately
Can you tell us in a
misses.
DM now?
Asteros, as you sorry, I'm reading things. Asteros, as you reach down to grab your warhammer, which by the way will take an action, a bolt of greenish black lightning energy bursts forth from Taryn in front of you. It's impressive as fuck, but the skill involved in the precision targeting of this kind of spell is so off that it's also kind of like there's an element of damn, this guy that's some decent magic combined with he has no fucking clue what he's doing. And it is your turn.
I'll articulate
I'm
that.
just
So it's-
very exhausted, boy.
yeah.
Of saying I missed. Oh god.
You clearly have a lot of skill, but you also have much to learn. And that's why we're here. Now, I will not talk too much smack, for I need to retrieve my hammer. And I crouch down very tentatively and use my action to pick that hammer up.
Okay, so you spend your action getting the hammer. I can't for some. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. You move
After
this
you
way.
spend all that time
And then
drawing
the
it.
hammer dies, and then you come back here. There we go. So you now have your hammer. If you wish to do anything with your bonus action, reaction, movement, it is entirely your choice.
Oh, get the bonus action, so I can still attack with the bonus action.
No.
Oh. Then what can I do with the bonus action?
It depends on your class and subclass
Nothing.
and race. You might have something you can do with a bonus action. You might not. You can do.
Where is it on the character sheet though? Like which?
It's going to be
actions are-
specific to what you can do. So lay on hands, I believe, is an action. Divine smite is combined with hitting. So yeah, you've basically got nothing. But for example, force feeding somebody a potion, is that an action? Yeah, drinking a potion is a bonus action. So if you wanted
Right.
to drink a potion, you could use a bonus action to do that. I assume you don't want to do that.
I don't have one.
Probably don't have one. Yeah,
No.
didn't buy any.
So I guess
Spend your time
Oh,
picking
can
up
I-
your warhammer.
yeah. Am I allowed to move into defensive fighting style for my bonus action?
No.
+1 to AC. No.
Wait, hang on. Is that a you thing? Is that a class thing?
That's under equipment, defensive fighting style +1 to AC. Or is that just a natural?
Where's equipment?
Is that added in the bottom left of the first page?
Bottom left.
Is
That
that-
is permanent.
It's a passive, yeah.
It's always on. Yeah, you just have that forever because of your class.
Okay, well I can do absolutely nothing then. So I guess I'll just
Pretty much.
rally my hammer against my war shield, board and board style, as if to say, we're not done here. Let's have at it.
So Taran, despite the fact that you are bruised, battered, and tired, you see a clear moment where Astaros has to take the back step of picking up his warhammer. He slams it on his shield as though this won't slow him down in any respect, but you know, you're starting to catch a bit here where maybe he thought less of you than you can provide. And it is your turn.
Yep. Then I will do a small, like, roundabout attempt at a flank from him as he's distracted by that.
Uh-huh.
And I ready my quarterstaff to just thwack him on the back of the head.
Okay, roll it. Still with disadvantage, unfortunately.
Yeah, I also did it wrong because I have proficiency in quarterstaff, so I get.
You definitely have proficiency in quarterstaffs, yeah.
So, you know. Oh, that's so
That's
shit.
awful, though. So you move around him tactically and bring the quarterstaff down, and you manage to actually just perfectly hit him on the back. It just glances off his armor. This dude is armored to fuck. And as you slam the quarterstaff down, and it kind of like grazes off, you look at him like, oh shit. Maybe I barked up the wrong tree a little bit here.
As I smack him, there's just a slight like, fuck.
It's very much a moment of like, oh no. And
I'm just
Astaroth
quite
is your turn.
annoyed by my staff.
My turn?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to rotate if I know how to.
Yeah,
do
it's the
that.
strange little box outside of the central box.
Yeah, you flank
It's
yourself.
not the best
there's
map
that little
for it.
blue.
It changes to like an exact like crosshair symbol rather than like a one with arrows on it. It's this.
Oh yeah, I see it now. You got
Yeah.
it. Yeah, cool. So I'm going to turn and face him. Lesson number 1: when facing an armored foe, aim for the head. And I'm going to roll. So just again, thwack with the warhammer. If you guys haven't cottoned on by now, I don't actually have a lot of so. So that's D20 plus strength.
Plus strength, plus proficiency. So your attack bonus should be but
Plus
your
5.
strength is only 2, so it's plus 5. Yeah.
Yep. 12.
12 will miss, but you have extra attack. So roll
Yep.
again. That'll hit.
24. Okay.
I got good with the first one, but the second one, ouchies.
Roll the damage on that second hit. Feel free to burn
Yep.
divine smites if you wish.
No, I'll let you off on this. Actually, no, I won't. No, you're winning. Screw that. So that's roll 2.
He can't see your health.
Yep. Ah, come on.
Also the damage from your warhammer because you hit. You've only rolled the damage from divine smite.
Yeah, shit.
So that's 8 from the hammer and 6 from the smite.
No, your warhammer should be a d8 plus 2, so that's 10 plus 6.
It's very much your shit.
Yeah. So, Taran, you go down to 1 HP. I know. Bear with me. So, this last, he swings the warhammer, and you manage to kind of pirouette it a little bit from where you tried to sweep the leg earlier with the quarterstaff. And for a moment, you think to yourself, this guy, he's got something about him, but I'm not nothing. And as you kind of take a moment to appreciate this, even in your weakened, exhausted, lacking the spell slot state, you know, you could have done more if you were ready. But you weren't. Despite the fact that you're not ready, you did well. And then, poof, straight to the face. This warhammer twats you full round. It sends you kind of spinning in place ish as you're about to fall. You manage to catch yourself just about, and you sort of half stand, dazed and ready for the count out. Fortunately, just before you hit the ground, somebody enters the room. And as he comes in, he sees you two sparring, and he looks directly at Astaros and says to him, bear with me, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, nobody changed their images.
He comes in close to the two of you. I don't have a token for him, but he comes to about here. Looks at Asteros and just says, I appreciate that you've got something going on here, but I'm eager to see the back of these various criminals. And he motions towards Taran. Leave my city. And Asteros, as you look at him, you recognize the captain of the Stalvan Guard. Taran, you have never seen this guy before in your life. Asteros, you recognize him. Go on.
I just sort of look at him with a kind of like, fuck off, mate. kind of look.
With your 1 HP.
He's like,
Yes.
he's shorter than you, but somehow he looks on you in a way that you are smaller than him. And he looks at Asteros. Asteros, you recognize this to be Kravor Kilvel, the captain of the Stalvan Guard. Captains work in a certain way in that if you are captain of the district guard, so if you were captain of the Stalvan military, then you simply hold the rank of captain in regards to you, Asteros. However, if you are captain of the domestic guard, then that still is in line with a captain of the military. The same way that if you were captain of the King's Guard, that's still in line with the Stalvan military captain position. So this guy outranks you.
Yep.
But there's a fair respect in that ultimately you're part of the military and he's part of the domestic forces. He comes in, he looks to you, he mentions his piece about the various criminals. I'm eager to see the back of them. If you don't mind, I'd like you to take your would-be soldiers to the front line. We've arranged for you to meet the rest of your group and their various associates. Bear with me. I've had a word with the Kingsguard that we're, let's say, interviewing one of these group of criminals that we've had nearby. A certain elf that kicked off in front of the king. Unwise, they've beat the shit out of him from what I've heard. But he had some effects about him and the Kingsguard are no longer interested in them, so they're yours to divide as you see fit. And he passes you a small satchel, Asteros. In that satchel are two things. I'm just going to put them in... I'm going to put them in everyone's journal, but I'm going to put them under Asteros.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know what they're supposed to be, but he had a fucking rock with any symbol on it and a box that we couldn't make height no head of.
I just start, like, slightly shaking it from, like, that's a cool rock.
I tell you what, Taran, roll Arcana.
Hell yeah.
Because you're a sorcerer, you have magic in you. And, Asteros, you're somewhat magically inclined. Roll Arcana for me.
Roll Arcana.
Oh god, I still have disadvantage. Fuck.
You have disadvantage, yeah, but Asteros doesn't.
Oh, 10.
Okay.
I sense a slight magical energy. I'm like, huh? It is a very cool rock.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so Taran, you recognize it to be inherently magical, but you don't understand why. Asteros, you recognize the rock to be inherently magical, but you don't understand why. You recognize the box to be not only magical, but also intricate beyond any magic item you have ever come across before. He passes you these two items in a small pouch, and he just gives them over to you.
Well, Kravor, I must say that you insult me by calling these soldiers while we were trading before you interrupted, and I appreciate your reasons for doing so. These whelps are not ready for the front line.
Well,
Can I get someone to heal me? Because I'm definitely...
well, have you seen too, lad? You're not that important. And he looks back at Asteros and just says, "Hey, from what I hear, though, they're your problem now."
You're very little, you know that, right?
Oh, he goes to punch you. He
Just
like
before he does, I reach out and just put my hand on his chest and say, Don't worry. The rigors they will go through will build discipline.
He
That
has
will be the
his
last
hand
outburst.
on the axe head of an axe that he has on his waist. He looks at Asteros and just says, "This is respect for your station, lad."
Will this dude never learn?
Okay.
You're to meet
Thank
them
you.
at the fountain of. Oh shit! 1 sec. you're to meet
Not
them
the
at the
fountain of
fountain of Aquis.
That's not the one in front of the Temple of Gaia, is it?
No, there's no temple of Gaia. There's a shrine.
You idiot.
Oh. There's a shrine.
There's a shrine to Gaia in the acreage, but if you're looking for any sort of centrally recognized aspect of Gaia, then the best you have is the fountain in dedication of her daughter, Aquis.
Very well.
Alright.
Come, boy. We are going to meet your compatriots, and maybe along the way you can tell me a little bit about these trinkets, since you seem to know so much about them.
He knows less than
don't
you.
know anything.
He still says it.
Yeah.
So,
Put that smart mouth to use.
This is a cool thing.
Okay.
Taran, as you pass Cravor, not that you know his name outside of Asteros announcing it, he grabs your wrist and just says, "I've seen your like before. I don't think you've got long, mate."
As he grabs my arm, I just do a sort of like, ooh, as I turn around to him.
But I'll
'Cause
tell
I'm
you
just
what,
completely- at this
if you're
point.
working for him, I'll give you this because you're gonna fucking need it. And he palms you a simple potion of healing, and kind of motions for you to drink it. It's 2d4 plus 2.
I'll just sort of, like when you get a drink, you just sort of like nod and point this sort of
The
bottle
cork
to him.
is
I'm just
the
like,
cork's not on it as he gives it to you.
Yeah. So a little bit spills out. I'm just like, yeah. And then I drink it.
Then you drink it. Okay, so roll 2d4 plus 2 for me. I was going to say if you don't drink it, it becomes 2d4 plus 1 because you spilt a bit. But if you're drinking it now, I'll let it happen.
Yeah. It's just one of those sort of motions of just like, thank you very much, sir.
I was hoping that he'd take 1 damage from the squeeze on his wrist and then knock out. Like, ah!
Oh no, that's
So you recover 9 HP, and as he hasn't let go of your wrist, and as you drink it and finish it off, Asteros has taken a few strides away at this point, like northward towards the stairs, and he looks at you and just says, "I do not envy you," and then he heads south through the doorway that leads out of this central section of this barracks, as Asteros motions for you to follow once more.
There's a slight moment where I raise my finger and a little bit of like jovial electricity appears, but then I decide not to because he was nice enough to give me a potion.
He ignores
Let
it.
me tell you something, boy. In the very short time you've spent in this dungeon, you have narrowly avoided death no less than 3 times.
Yeah,
I do
hear that a
not
lot.
favour your chances on the battlefield. And yet, while being completely beneath my station, I am to care for you and cradle you and ensure that you see the light of at least one more day.
And
So
there's
if you would
slight
be so
extra
kind.
cradling me. I just sort of look a bit like, that's a bit weird.
You have more than 1 HP now. Can I slap him?
You can certainly slap him if you want
Stab
to.
him as hard as you can. Do it.
I'm gonna roll to shield bash.
Roll
I
to
want
hit.
dodge that shit.
Yeah, roll to hit, and Taran, you're gonna need to roll a dex save,
Dodge.
and it's disadvantage because of your exhaustion.
Yeah.
What is the shield? It's just standard roll, isn't it?
It's a standard, it's a flat roll. There's nothing about the shield. Are you sure you're using the shield and not your other hand?
Because
Oh,
he's on my
shit.
left. He's on my left. So I'm
Okay.
just shield bashing.
That
So he-
disadvantage did
He
not do
probably
me well.
doesn't dodge. You need to beat a 5 or more. Was 14 your roll?
No, 19 was my roll. Was it?
No, that's Taran.
No, that's
You need
Taran.
to roll
Oh,
to hit.
sorry, I thought I did. 17.
So give me a flat 17, yeah, so 17 hits. You kind of just sort of knock him about the head with the shield as he's kind of, cast this electric at Cravor previously and looks back at you as though like there's an element to him that is still not squished. You just kind of knock him slightly with the shield and give me a d6.
Me?
Yeah, Astros roll a d6.
Take that down.
Five.
Give him that
Oh.
D.
Taran, you
Oh.
take 5 damage as a bruise
Yeah.
and bump appears on your head
I just
as he
sort of like
thonks you with the shield.
kneel down ever so slightly, just hold my head like, oh man, that was not good.
I'll tell you what, Taran. I will lower it to 2 damage if you fall to the floor. Your choice. You can either take it standing and take 5 damage, or you can fall to the floor and take 2.
I get hit with it, and I go to like crouch slightly. I'm just holding my head like, ow, because the draconic nature of myself would have withstood the hit well enough, but it
Okay.
still fucking hurt.
Astros, as you do impart this damage, you do recognize about Taran's person, though somewhat obscured. He has areas of his flesh that are scaly and dragon-like, most abnormal to your average human.
Gross.
I'm gonna turn around to face him, and I'm gonna extend my hand to help him up off the floor.
As he's crouched rather than prone.
Yep. I'm gonna
I'll
lift him
take
up.
his hand anyway.
Okay.
Because I feel a kind of like that kind of rivalry sort of mentor relationship already. I'm just like, this is fun.
And I acknowledge there was a little bit of a dick move to slap you with my shield. In the spot. But it's tough love. Listen to me very carefully, boy. You must understand, this is no game. And while I'm sure you like to amuse yourselves with these little diatribes, we are going to the front lines of a war with the elves. You must listen to me. You must take this seriously. And if you do, Gaia will smile upon you, and we shall all live to see the new morning.
Roll religion,
clear?
Taran.
Huh?
Roll religion.
Religion. I don't remember if Oh, I actually have a
As
good
he
religion
asks you, are we clear? You can respond to it in
Oh,
person, but I'll... Okay.
Hey!
So as he mentions Gaia, there's a couple things. You know Gaia to be the goddess of nature. You recognize that it's almost odd that somebody of this kind of nature would invoke her name. And it kind of crosses your mind. What is this guy to Gaia? Why is he like referencing the goddess of nature? That's kind of off piece
Weirdo.
a little bit. But
Yeah.
ultimately he says to you, you know, are you willing to take this on in the way that he did?
Sure thing. Just sort of nodding because I'm still kind of dazed. And
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Bleeding from the head.
give a little sort of salute, just like, yep. Sure thing.
So,
Then let's proceed.
Onward.
as you two head out, Livia, Vice, Nemea, is there anything else you are looking to do in town?
Well, I imagine me and Nemea, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I imagine me and Nemea have left her clothes with what's his
Yeah.
face, and
Yeah.
we're going to look for Vice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you saw where Vice was. Vice, are you doing anything else?
No.
Okay, so as the three of you reconverge, actually very fortuitously, pretty much in the center of the market square, because Obstrix's place is the opposite end of the market square to the alchemist that you were previously. Enchanter or alchemist? No, yeah, alchemist to enchanters. One thing that you immediately notice, Vice, if you would like to roll perception for me, please.
Who's this? All of us. Vice.
Vice.
Yeah, Vice. I mean, it's meant to be deception, but I'll take it.
It's okay. It could be any of them.
Tell me what the roll is, because I'm really scrolled back.
Sorry, hang on 1 second. As I
He's not rolled yet.
no, I haven't.
feel like
Too
the
busy
okay.
only
thinking
way,
Fina.
Take all night.
the only way Vice
I am.
could persuade anyone now is to just go
Nine.
persuasion.
9. Okay, so Vice, you recognise that Nemea is wearing black and purple robes that she didn't seem to be wearing previously. As the three of you regroup.
Okay.
I clock him checking out her.
checking out the mayor.
Yeah, he's looking her up and down. I see that.
And I'm just like, you know, well, well, you look like you've had a bit of fun. Like, what happened to you?
What would you like to know? And I'm going to turn my back to him.
Just, yeah, we go and tell him where we've been and what we've been up to.
I'm gonna
Livia,
pull a sandwich outside my pocket that I made earlier at my mum's in the kitchen before we left, and I'm gonna carry on chewing my sandwich.
uncharacteristically, Vice, Livia has turned her back to you in a way that is really kind of rude.
I'm like, so,
I wanna like whisper in his ear and just be like, "Mad," and then just smile and step away.
what?
I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, say that again.
What did you say?
She's mad at you. She's
What?
mad at
Why?
I
Why?
don't know, just talk to her. And then I just walk away.
What the hell? Okay. I'm gonna walk up behind Livia and just kind of
It's the best way to approach a situation, from behind.
yeah, from behind. I'm gonna do what her dad did to her. And I'm just gonna
Fist bump the shoulder.
just bump her back. I'm like, hey, like,
I'm gonna turn
Hang
around.
on. Vice, I need you to roll performance.
what? Really?
What, to fist bump my shoulder?
Yep.
okay.
Are you ready for this performance? Are you ready? Yeah.
It's got exhaustion, so is that with disadvantage?
Yes, he has exhaustion. It is with disadvantage. Disadvantage on ability
Oh
checks.
no.
Wait. Okay, that's fine.
That one
Oh, no.
probably can't fuck
gonna
up
be the
less than that.
worst.
So
I can't. Oh, it doesn't really matter, does it?
yeah, it's a critical fail. So Vice,
No.
as you approach Livia from behind in an attempt to sort of jovially break the ice, you sort of lightly tap her on the shoulder, punching her way too hard. Livia, you all but take damage as Vice just twats you around the shoulder for no fucking reason.
I'm gonna turn around.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? And then put my shield up,
I'm like,
and then carry on eating my sandwich.
I mean,
Full on like, fuck you. Don't look
well, that's what you get for not sharing a sandwich. Is all I'm gonna say.
That's it,
Yeah.
you're sharing a sandwich. Oh, but it's fine to keep secrets from you. Ah. And I'm going to
What?
slowly walk off.
Wait. What?
Oh,
So-
wait. Now I want to talk, but I've not wanted to talk to you for months.
Fucking hell, Josh.
I don't do shit.
I mean, damn you. I mean, what's his name? What's the dad's name?
Zuko.
Zuko.
I
damn
never
it,
remember
Zuko.
my dad.
You don't know that happened.
Keep
You
it
still don't know
secret.
that happened.
No,
that's
okay. I mean, what do you mean? What secrets? What secrets?
I
you
don't
talking
know,
about?
Vice. What secrets?
As she lowers the shield. Roll insight, Vice.
You stare him down with like a mouthful of sandwich,
Bread.
holding the shield, ready to lift it back up.
Oh, she knows something that you have been
Nah,
keeping
is that
secret from her.
Yeah, that's the disadvantage.
Yeah, no,
I
give me
think, though.
disadvantage. Give me disadvantage.
Oh, guys, come on, man. What, just
Give me that second nat 20.
Yeah,
That'll do. I'll
Yeah.
take it. She knows something. You are certain she has caught you out on something, and there are very few things that Livia knows that you know that you have not
Okay.
told her.
I'm gonna start tapping my foot.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, so Livia, okay, look, I know you're not stupid. Okay.
Oh, thank you for clarifying.
I mean, I'm gonna guess.
Because we weren't sure if
I'm
Livia
gonna
was
guess
stupid.
it's got something to do with what that dude that we killed said.
That dude. Which dude? Keeping all these secrets. I just don't know what you're on about.
Shit, what's the guy's name? Who's the guy that we killed? No, it was the king. Sorry, the king.
The king said
The king.
King. He killed the king.
I mean, no. Forget what I just said. Yeah. So obviously, the king mentioned something about you being an orphan. I'm assuming it's got something to do with that.
Throw the word around, you know.
Oh, look. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh,
No, I didn't lie to you. I never. First,
I thought we were friends.
Livia, we are friends. I never lied to you at any point. I just chose to be
So
loyal.
let's just
and
say
keep-
that I knew where Fina was the entire time. But she just said, don't say anything, Vice. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I won't say nothing. You want to be like, you lied? Yeah.
I would be angry, the same as you. I would be.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I understand that. Okay,
Yeah.
but I didn't know or knew. I would have thought that it would have came out in a different way than the way that it has.
What, like your close friends sitting you down by a campfire and telling you
I
something
would-
really
I would-
private so
I
they
would-
can digest it in a
No,
normal fashion?
Okay. Look. Let's be honest now. Would you have rather that your own father tell you that you're an orphan, or this random stranger who's been being in this group for however long? Would you have rather?
Or would I rather a
would you have
king
rather?
who's threatening to basically kill us all, or my friend?
No, because I didn't know that. I wouldn't have known that the king was going to say that.
No, that's why you tell me.
No, because what would you expected me to say at that moment? The moment that the king said that,
Mate,
hey,
you know
like-
how we're so close, and you bought me a squid, and you taught me how to play solitaire solo. You know all those times.
Solitaire.
I'm not meant to tell you
you're an
something.
orphan
What?
after the king has just said it right there and then.
Okay, whatever.
How much more of a dick am I going to look? No,
My dad thinks you're amazing now,
no.
and apparently I've got to marry you because you know. you're so
No,
amazing.
no.
Still married.
I mean, he what did he say? Right, but no, genuinely, I felt as if it should have been him to tell you something like that. You know,
Did you tell
you
him
don't
to tell?
understand. I stumbled across his diary
Yeah,
when we were staying.
why are you rifling through my dad's stuff?
I wasn't rifling.
What, you just fell on his open diary?
No, I didn't do that. I was just happy. He told me I was on my way to the bathroom. He told me which way it was, and then
And you fell
I
into his
happened-
open diary and read it by
His-
mistake.
diary was there in front of me, and I didn't know what I was reading.
Uh-huh.
I think you need to. I think you need to. I can understand your frustration and your anger, but I think you need to calm down about the situation and understand my point. Yeah, all right.
Vice, roll intelligence.
No, I don't need intelligence.
I get to roll! I want to roll!
Wait,
Anger! A betrayal!
intelligence. Okay, wait. I don't even know what that is.
Roll flat intelligence.
That's how long it's been since I've rolled. Okay, there it is.
Roll flat intelligence with
Flat
disadvantage
intelligence.
because you have disadvantage due to your
There is-
exhaustion.
There is no flat intelligence.
Yeah, there
It's
is.
mine.
It's just under your intelligence.
Yeah, I know. It's minus though.
I'm taking a really deep
Give me
Oh,
disadvantage.
yeah.
Give me disadvantage. 3 might
Oh.
not be low enough. We don't know. There we go. That's what I thought. As far as you're concerned, this is a perfectly normal way of questioning. There's
is!
there's no downside to
You need to
this.
calm down!
I'm not questioning. I'm just saying you just need to calm about the situation. Yeah.
I like a cartoon, physically get redder through the face up to the top, to where I'm so angry. I drop my
Okay.
shield.
Okay,
I
well-
slap him. I get we have to do all the stuff.
Okay.
And then cry.
Okay. Vice. Acrobatics or athletics? Your choice. Actually, no. Fuck that. Dex save, Vice. Livia, roll to hit.
Is it
No
just plus?
proficiency. You're
What am
not
I rolling?
proficient in unarmed strikes. It's a d20.
Can't roll with strength.
Yeah. Go on.
Still get
Go on.
11.
Hit me.
11 versus his. I need disadvantage,
19.
Vice.
Disadvantage, Vice.
Oh fuck's sake, man.
Yeah.
Come on. It's
Hey, 19. So, Livia, you go to slap him, and Vice, you have the opportunity to backstep this slap. Do you take the slap anyway, given the conversation, or do you avoid it? I need a quicker answer than that. It's happening in a very quick.
Okay, fine.
You take it or you move.
I'll take the slap. 'cause I
Okay,
know
give
she
me
wants- I know she
Livia.
just wants-
1 plus
I know
strength.
she just wants to let the anger know that.
1 plus
Wait,
strength.
1 plus strength.
Yeah, what's
Oh,
1 plus
so
strength?
it's like 3.
Adam was like, "Nah, man, you should have took the slap. Should have took the slap."
3.
You-
So, Vice, you suffer 3 damage as Livia slaps you across the face. Not
I did
only
give her-
is it like
yeah.
a sort of slap to the face, obviously, but you forget how strong this heavily armored woman is as she go you around the face. This is a strong ass woman. She slaps you
How much did I
full
take?
pelt.
3.
3 damage from a slap.
Lord.
From a slap.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
My
beat your ass, yeah.
warhammer did 4.
Clerics!
Look,
As you are slapped round the face, a rather timid-y, kind of uncomfortable-looking dragonborn woman approaches the group, slightly younger, and she says to you all, "I'm terribly sorry to interrupt you like this, but I have to guide you all to the Fountain of Aquis. We have to meet with your various leaders. Prompting soon. If you wouldn't mind following me, it seems that you are in a bit of an altercation, but perhaps you could do it whilst walking." And she kind of looks at you all like she
Yeah,
doesn't really
fine.
give a shit what's going down here, but also she's kind of uncomfortable.
I'm gonna look around for Nemea. I'm gonna start crying at this point. The anger has turned into
Aw.
tears, and I'm actually really upset because, like, I genuinely 3 days ago, like, found out that I'm adopted, and I got dumped on the steps by
I
no one,
run and give
really
her a
unloved,
hug.
and
Yeah,
my
and I get
closest
that.
friend basically didn't tell me the truth. So
No,
I get
you-
why he did it.
yeah,
I was well emotional right
As
now.
as Nemea runs up and gives Livy a hug,
which is why I let you hit me, because I could have just twisted you up right there.
there's a
Oh,
moment.
could you now? You want to carry this on?
I could have so twisted you up right there.
There's a moment
Okay,
as
but-
Nemea hugs Livia that Vice turns around to be like, "Oh shit, bitch, I can fuck with you." And the young Dragonborn woman just puts a hand on Vice's shoulder and kind of forcibly shoves you back, Vice, and is just like, "No, this is not the best time for that. We should really be
Hold me
going
back!
forward."
Hold me back!
I'm
I'll
not-
let you hit me, but then I'm going to throw myself at you.
You misunderstand how interested I am in the little dynamic you have going
Uh.
on. But if you wouldn't mind following me, I don't wish to call the rest of the guard. And she steps
That's fine.
forwards and kind of motions for you to follow, Vice. I assume you do.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I want to just look like I physically
I'm
let
done with
go.
this.
Like I'm not angry anymore. I've let out all the tension and my frustration, but I am upset.
Yeah,
Like,
on my
and
face.
it's like quite I'm like, I'm
Let's,
trying to hide it, but I'm sort of walking along and sniffing. I'm trying to like wipe my eyes and avoid looking at Nemea and Vice because I'm embarrassed and also just generally not in a good place.
So as this Dragonborn lady guides you to the Fountain of Aquis, Asteros and Taran,
Yo.
Is
you guys have gold? Do you want to
I
go
do.
anywhere before you reach
Quite a
the
personal
Fountain of
question
Aquis?
you're asking there.
No, it's not a question. It's a statement. You guys have gold. Do you want to do anything with it? Asteros, you're fully aware of the various shops available to you throughout Stalvin. You're also aware that you're ultimately making your way to the center of the market square, so you don't want to go too far. You're not looking to travel all the way to the Royal District. Taran, you're really kind of unfamiliar with Stalvin, but you're also under the impression that you've been given free reign to shop if needed. So
I would know like a sort of like that vague map of an area that you've been to like 5 years ago, sort of thing.
yeah,
Because like I've been here before. I'm like, there was a baker's here. I remember that vaguely.
yep.
And I know about Stalvin's temples because of a book I read like 15 years ago.
Mhm.
But that's about the extent of it. And I'm just sort of like, this is familiar, but I don't know shit.
Yeah, it's so long ago.
Obviously we can't separate. He's my ward in this
Yeah,
situation.
he's kind of your ward, but if you want to force him to go to a place that you want to go, you can.
Anywhere in particular that we can go to?
So, let me just run through the thing again. You've got inns, you've got
Yep.
smithies, you've got Fletchers, enchanters, restaurants, jewelers, a brothel, taverns, merchant shop, leatherworker, bakery, arena, which probably isn't all that relevant right now, tailor, alchemist, merchant stalls, just general merchant stalls. So,
Right.
up to you guys.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So we do not have much time. A grand event is being prepared, and you are one of its many guests, as am I.
Oh, God.
However, it would be prudent of us to stock up ahead of this, so I, for one, would require some healing items. Is there anything that you would require?
I mean, as far as everything, helium sounds good. Alchemists, it is, I guess.
Alchemist it is. So we'll go to the alchemy.
Okay. So you both collectively head to Sanguine Sand, which, based on my font, I assume that's what it's called. You know the way, Asteros. You don't often traipse the various inch by inch of Stalvin, being that you are one of its military. You're generally either stationed or off on mission. But Stalvin is ultimately your home. And you know the way around if a little bit you need to take a moment every now and then to find the way. Taran, you recognize this. He reaches the market square center-ish before kind of being like, it's this way. And just moves with purpose. But you can tell from the pause that there was an uncertainty. After a moment, you reach Sanguine Sand, and you can tell that by the large placard that hangs above the doorway that says, "The Sanguine Sand."
I'm gonna say as well, like, and there's a moment as we're walking through the market square and everything that I just have like a slight reminiscence of that one adventure that one time with my group of friends.
It was a long time ago. The question as to where they are now, outside of the fact that you have moved on from the organization that you were once a part of as a result of the unfortunate events of that organization, is still very much in the air. Where did that mage, where did that strong-ass fighter, where did that other relatively strong-ass fighter go? You're not certain.
She was real good at healing. That shit was cool.
Yeah, that's a shame. I choose to put my lay on hands firmly in my pockets as we walk towards the door of Sanguine Sands. I'm gonna turn to Taran just before we open the door and look him in the eye and say, "You know this place?
Oh, really?
You know of it?"
I don't think I've really been here. I vaguely have a memory of the
Roll
area.
history.
Both of us?
Yeah.
Yep.
As far as I can tell, but my rolls, it was a 2.
Flat.
Taran is still at disadvantage.
Oh my god.
Oof, okay. So,
Jesus.
Asteros, you've heard mention of this place. As I mentioned, you spend most of your time in either training, the barracks, or generally stationed somewhere. It's not often that you waste time about the city of Stalvin, and if you do, you're generally in the comfort of the king's presence, if not generally sort of milling about the military. Taran, however, you've had your ear to the ground on previous times here. It's not often that you've come to Stalvin, but you have heard tell, even at a 19, of the various stalls and markets that take place here. Sanguine Sand is not one that has slipped your information, and you are fully aware of a relatively middle-aged half-elf lady called Silperin, who runs this place. You're aware that it's the location for potions, as well as general alchemy supplies.
I'll give him that sort of vague description of like, I know some place around here and everything. I've been here a couple of times, and I know this woman, like, or I know of this woman and everything. Apparently she's real nice, but yeah.
What can you tell me?
I don't really know. Just like, you know, the hearsay of like, she runs the establishment. She's quite nice, and
He tells you the name Silperin,
Silperin?
that's the one.
a half-elf lady.
Yeah.
You know what to expect as you enter.
Fantastic.
I just sort of like plod on behind him slightly.
Yeah. Just want to cover. You're not in shackles, are you? Along.
He's not shackled in any fashion, no. He's
okay,
very
that's
much
fine.
like free walking, but much like the main group, as you guys move through Stalvin, it's very obvious that there is a standard domestic guard watching the two of you. It's not even that they're just watching Taran, they're watching you as well, Asteros. They don't want any of you here. They're very much under the orders of, you guys are blah, and you're joining the military, get the fuck out. And they are just watching you until you leave.
Wonderful.
Yep. Big old guy with a beard in super thick plate armor.
Yeah.
Does tend to stand out a little bit in the market square.
You're drawing the eye of the average person that you walk by, and that's causing an unrest that they're not happy with.
Yep. Let's get this done. So we'll walk into the alchemist and we'll approach Silperin.
Okay. She's kind of toying about with various vials as she speaks to somebody in the distance. It seems like maybe they don't have the coin for the things that she's suggesting, but you hear her under her breath just kind of say like, "Oh, well, I could do you a certain deal, but you know, I have to make a bit of a base profit, and there's certainly some costs involved. But if you come back with maybe some coin, or perhaps you could do me a favor in some fashion, I really don't mind." And they're very much like, "Yeah, no, we were window shopping," and they kind of just leave her, and she's like, yes, but if you you know, perhaps we could do something like this or something like. And they kind of just ignore her and walk away, and she's like, "Well, have a good day." And as she's doing this, she looks at you two, and she's like, "Oh, new customers, hello."
Greetings, Madam Silperin. My name is Astra Somnatel. I am with the King's Guard.
Oh, have we met before?
No, the King's Guard keeps meticulous records on every shopkeeper within Stalvin, as I'm sure you know.
To be honest, I'm not quite privy to that sort of information, but it makes sense nonetheless. Well, certainly here, since the banner's been lifted, everything is well within the King's decree.
All is not well within Stalvin, my dear. I'm afraid that we are at war. We require healing supplies for the Stalvin military. I have here my ward. He is in my company. As you can see, he's a little banged up. However, the hell that waits for him out there is 10 times worse. For that reason, we must avail ourselves of your healing supplies, your potions, your poultices, and anything else that we may take with us on our journey.
Well, I see. This is quite a important endeavor. I said perhaps I'm maybe not privy to the interactings of the military of the capital. I simply run my small establishment here, and I can certainly provide you of anything you might need. But they haven't called on me personally to provide them with anything. I would assume that they have perhaps their own enchanters and alchemists as the like. What can I do you for?
Well, following winter, our ranks are thinner than usual, our supplies are lower than usual, and for that reason we are conscripting help and support from the locals. If you could avail me of your...
certainly go to war. I have a shop to run. This is quite uncouth. I certainly couldn't accompany you in any sort of fashion. And she smashes a few things as she's like talking to you across the counter.
My dear, calm down. You're hysterical. I am not looking to conscript you for the front lines. I merely want to...
She starts like clothing up some potions. There's like a mixture of green and red, and it starts to acid a little bit. And she's like, they shouldn't mix. This isn't ideal. And she like mops them up. And like starts sort of covering the glass a little bit, just like don't reach for them. You might get hurt. I'm not covered for this sort of thing. And she like cups them in a cloth and like throws it away. And you can see she's cut her hand a little bit. And she turns back to you as she's like looking at her hand, and you see her eyes go wide as she sees the blood. Carry on.
You just said one thing. You said one thing.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. I would lay on hands, but we've only got so many, and I know we're going out to war. So could I pass her the cloth that she was mopping up the acid with, and just like gently wrap it around her?
Okay, you try. I'm gonna have her openly roll fucking like a dex save. I don't even know what a dex would be. It's not great. So you wrap her hand in the acid-soaked cloth of the potions that she just mopped up, and as she sort of has her hand open and you wrap it up, she just looks at it and goes, "Ah! Ah!" and like takes it off. And she's like, you have to leave. And she turns and like reaches under her counter, and you see her like pull a cork and drink a potion, as the sort of green energy that is like flowing around the cut in her hand begins to subside. And then she looks up at you like, ah! And then like reaches for another one, pulls the cork on that and drinks that, and it like fuses the wound back together again. She looks at you, she puts her hands on the table and looks at you and just goes, ah! Perhaps you should leave. This, I think, everyone leave. We're closed.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I just stood there. I turned around and I'm just like, the fuck just happened?
Okay.
It went from like here to like here.
I can't swallow. She's like, we're closed. Please, everyone, get out! Get out! And she motions towards the door. You see like 2 or 3 other patrons in the shop just like quickly motion towards the door and quickly leave. She looks up at the 2 of you just like, I'm quite, please leave. And she just motions towards the door once more.
Reminder to everyone that this is my first time.
I just want to stand there.
Didn't expect it to go this way.
Slightly raise my hand. I'm like, I had advice. Can I like buy something?
Yeah, you didn't do it.
Taryn and Asteros, roll perception for me.
I mean, with all the commotion, you could take
into that. How did that happen?
Taryn with disadvantage. There you go. So Taryn, you don't notice as you blindly ask this question, but Asteros, you notice that you've clearly scarred her hand, as the healing doesn't entirely heal back up again. She has this great big scar across her hand. As she looks up at Taryn, who's like, "I'd like to buy something," and she's just like, "Get out, please." Just leave! We're closed! And she comes out from behind the counter and begins sort of slowly pushing you towards the exit.
Okay.
I genuinely.
This woman alone, man.
Just leave the poor woman alone.
So I'm gonna just slowly turn to Taryn outside the front of the shop. We are never talking about this again.
I'm just looking at him, like, completely bewildered, like, how did that happen? What?
I merely thought a mild acid would clean the infection from the wound. I didn't know the nature of the acid.
I don't think the acid was
Upon
burned.
reflection.
Is he, like, apparently, like, a healer to me? Does he look like he
Roll
has
insight.
any-
Roll insight.
Oh, fucking hell. Kill me, man.
I'll tell you what, Taryn, as well, roll it flat because you've got advantage.
Okay.
Okay,
18.
so he seems like somebody that is capable of healing magics in a very limited spectrum, and otherwise does not understand the nature of healing magics.
Just as, like, because I'm such, like, a complete bookworm and everything, I just give him that look of, like, the fuck? Like, even just the basic thing of acid plus hand. It's not good. Just...
I need to watch all of that again.
Josh, before you upload the recording, can you dub the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme over? Okay, so authority's been undermined. Do we still have time for one more visit?
Where do you want to go? Because it depends where you want to go in regards to how distant it is.
Yeah. Well, we didn't spend a lot of time in there because that all happened
No,
so fast. We
but-
still have all of our gold. and I need to still maintain some kind of credibility. So, knowing that I now sort of have to bribe Taran to not blab about this incident, I'm going to suggest that we make a quick trip to do it yourself, because he's been in a prison. He hasn't probably eaten anything good for a while.
Okay. Okay.
Did
So
you mention
on,
that name specifically?
yes, he mentions that name specifically.
My
Roll
eyes
history.
slightly glow up as I remember that time. 15
Yeah.
years
You
ago,
remember
and I'm
a
just like,
woman running Do It Yourself. You recognize the name, even without the history roll. You remember a woman ran it. And as you make your way to Do It Yourself, you're greeted by a man who looks out to the two of you and just says, "Trying to beat the lunch rush. I can do you whatever you're after. What are you looking for?"
We shall take 4 of your finest brioche buns.
Certainly, business has been good since a certain competitor met what was right for him, and he turns back
Isn't he
inside.
clearly a guard?
Huh?
Isn't he a guard?
Bran's not a guard. The guy that runs the
No!
bakery.
Adam's character, Asteros, or I'm
He's
saying it wrong,
he's
Adam.
clearly a member of the military, but Bran
Yeah.
just said that some dude met what was good for
Oh,
him.
right. Okay, fine.
It's fine. Heads into
Kinda.
the bakery, comes back out, and he passes you a paper bag with 4 brioche buns and just says to you, "Only a few, 1 or 2 silver, your choice. I don't mind. Things been good since
That's how you do business.
somebody met their end."
I just look over at him in like a slightly quizzical manner, like, this is a bit weird. I'm just like, so what happened to the lady that used to run this place?
That was my mother. She ran it for a while, and she's still at home. I run the place now. I've been running it for a short while. Had a bit of competition. Solved that problem. He just looks around. He's like so
suspiciously
he's so
impossible.
smug, like ridiculously smug.
I slightly just turn away and I'm just like, well, I hope she's doing well. And just sort of slightly edge away.
She's doing fine. We make a lot of gold now.
Pray tell me, Baker, because we did not have to wait long in line. Despite your boast of a booming business, there was no queue whatsoever to get the buns. Perchance you could avail us of why business has been so forthcoming for you these recent years.
Oh, certainly. Guardsman, I
Yes, you
assume
wish.
from your garb.
Yes.
You're just a little late in the day, that's all. Business is booming, trust me. Nothing untoward.
Such a creep. Why did it turn into a creep? Oh, trust
He's
me.
smiling throughout. Like he's just happy. He's just like
Yeah.
I mean, he sounds like a pervert, but if that's happy, fine.
Yeah. I don't want to start like going down this side quest of uncovering his backstory when we've got got somewhere to be. So I'll thank him for the buns. I'm gonna break 2 of them off. I'm assuming they're like a hot cross bun.
yeah, you can break them
That's
off
it.
easy enough.
Gonna break off 2 and hand them to Taran.
Okay.
I will happily munch away.
You do so as you guys head collectively to
Nom,
the
nom, nom.
Fountain of Aquis.
The one thought that goes through my head, though, is I'm just like, not as good as they used to be.
Well, what do you expect? We didn't pay for them.
Definitely paid for them.
No, you offered us the prices, but we never actually hand over the coin. You were too busy being smug to actually
Somebody-
take any money from us.
Ooh.
Somebody
So my
needs to
ploy-
knock 2 silver off of their total coin. He said the price. He gave you the
what?
buns. Somebody paid. He wouldn't have given you the buns until somebody paid. So
He was so wrapped up in his own story
it's
that he
between
didn't
the
actually
two
check.
of you as to who pays him 2 silver. 1 each.
Okay.
I don't care. but somebody paid him 2 silver.
Didn't he say
One or
2 or
two.
1?
He
Yeah,
kind
he
of
did.
put it out there like, I don't really like, business is so good you can pay 1 or
Yeah.
2. I don't give a shit.
We'll meet in the
But-
middle. I'll pay him 1 silver.
That's not the middle.
Well, no, it is because we got away with it. So it could have been 0.
As you hand him a silver, he accepts it, grin still on his face, and he happily accepts it and goes back into
yeah.
making more bread. You'd be surprised the cost of the ingredients to making bread. It's not much.
Business is booming. I don't have any customers, and I absolutely.
You came
But
past
trust me,
the
guys.
lunch rush hour. That's all it is. It's later in the day, you know. Well, I don't want to put a time on it, but it's about 1 p.m. by this point. So you've missed
No,
the
don't want to
predominant.
put it
You've missed the predominant rush. However, as you do make your way onwards to the Fountain of Aquis, blah 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 blah. The rest of you have all been slowly brought to the Fountain of Aquis as well, as we discussed. I'm gonna get water so that I can stop hiccuping. 1 sec. So Livia, Vice, and Nemea, having collectively regrouped, the various guards that have been keeping an eye on you approach you and simply say to you, "I'm sorry, we've got to take you on down to the Fountain of Aquis, if that's okay."
Do you mind if I pick something up first? I'm almost done with my pepperoni.
I'd really rather you didn't, but if it's really that important, we can escort you. It's okay.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Just as long as we get to it at some point, and you can see that he has his hand on his sword the whole time. He's just really like pissed off that it's taking this long. He's a much older fellow, and he's very much just like, just get what you need, and we'll take you over and bring you back. You know, just hurry up about it.
Yes, it's our last stop of the day.
So you head over to presumably Obstrix.
No, she wanted to go get bread.
Oh.
Oh my god.
No. Oh no.
Okay, so you head over to Obstrix, having spent the how much gold did you guys give him in the end? 400.
430.
No lesson.
430. That was correct. Yeah, because of the additional plat added. So, Nemea. He comes out to you many more hours in the day, and this means that Taran and Asteros, you spend several hours waiting by the fountain. It's about 4 p.m. by the time that Nemea returns.
I imagine there's like a slight bit of seating nearby, so I would just be like lying on
Yeah,
my back on
you
there.
can sit around the fountain, or you can just generally sit at benches in the surrounding area. You're surrounded by the market stalls. If you wanted to buy anything, let me know. From just generic stalls, magic items, normal items is fine. If you want to buy anything, tell me. Nemea, as you make your way over with the guard, he motions you in to Obstrix. Benjamin comes out and says to you, "It went quite well, actually. I've spent some time on it, and I was able to maneuver some of the later enchantments that I had. You'll notice quite intricate runes down the left side of your outer clothing," and he shows you the sort of like chest piece and like a sort of skirt that gives, it's like parachute pants. It's kind of like a skirt that gives way to the legs in a weird way. It's like a skirt, but there's legs to it. It's weird.
Okay.
But down the chest piece on the left hand side, so like let me just draw it on thingy.
Is it like under the armpit, straight
So
down?
if this is your outfit,
Yeah.
you see this?
Yes.
So you have runes down here and then down here.
Ah.
Probably should have done those in a different color. They're down here and then they're down here. Yeah?
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
Sick.
Cool. So down those sides where I've described, you have very light blue, turquoisey, glowing runes They seem to be written in a sort of dwarven language. It's a kind of cross between dwarven and elvish, so there's like harsh symbols with sort of flourish-esque finishes, if that makes sense. So if you were gonna do like a symbol like this, like that, for example, there's a bit that comes down like that sort of thing, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the kind of symbols all down the outfit, and you now have resistance to cold
Ooh.
damage
Nice.
Nice.
when wearing this clothing specifically. So
Nice.
however you want to call it, you need to specify specifically on your character sheet that this
Yep.
clothing is cold resistant. It means you take half damage from cold, and any time that cold damage is halved, you take no damage from that.
Okay.
So for example, if somebody
Nice.
hit you with like an ice breath that dealt cold damage, but you succeeded on the save, you would take
Yep.
nothing rather than half.
Nice. That's really good.
Fuck yeah.
Really good.
So that's what he's hit you up with. It was quite costly, but
It
that's what
was,
he's
but
managed to
worth it in the
do
end.
throughout the 4 or 5 hours that you've given him. He provides this to you and he explains that, and he sort of just says, wear this close to you as much as possible, and I'm sure it will provide you much protection in the times to come. We're moving out of winter somewhat, but if you come across anything that's dealt the sort of damage that it seems that you... And he like takes a moment, almost a step back, and looks again at your horn, sort of like sheepishly, as though it's a bit rude to look at your horn, and he kind of just says to you like, it seems that perhaps you've sustained so far.
I like kind of lean my horn towards him, and, like kind of dip my head down a bit so he
Yeah.
can see. Not much, just like a kind of
I don't mind you looking thing.
like
Yeah, I
like,
get you.
check it out.
She's like, yes, something like that. I hope that I've done you a service here, and thank you for the gold. You've certainly gone a long way to allowing me to re-establish myself in the capital, and I hope with the change in management, as it were, and the change to the laws throughout this land, that I can thrive as I once did. And he kind of motions you out as he says this.
Thank you so much. I know these are gonna protect me well.
Well, thank you as well.
Thank you.
As you collectively gather around the Fountain of Aquis in the market square, Taran, Asteros, you all see at this point Nemea, Vice, and Livia gather around the Fountain of Aquis. They are surrounded, the group of 3 are surrounded by obvious simple guards, not King's Guard, but just domestic guard of Stalvin. They're a bit away, but it's very clear they're there. Asteros, would you like to describe your appearance at this point, because we haven't done that as yet?
Of course, yeah. So I'm quite an aged man. I'm definitely past my prime, around sort of the early to mid 50s mark. White hair, white eyes. White hair,
Ooh.
grey eyes.
Oh.
I've got a very thick set of paladin armor, for I am paladin of Gaia. Yeah. So very much your kind of your heavy armor tank sort of knight, if you will. With quite a heavy iron shield as well, and the warhammer. I am proud military man, so I always stand up straight into attention, and I maintain kind of an air of grace when I'm not burning shopkeepers' hands with acid.
Well, you'll find them. Yes.
Yeah, very very hard nosed, very no nonsense. Sure to be a great time. Yeah.
Okay. So as you all collectively gather around the Fountain of Aquis, one of the guards approaches you specifically, Asteros, and says...
So rude.
I'm sorry, my understanding was that Oresio would meet us here as well. Is it simply yourself?
I am the only one here. Would you like me to summon Oresio?
My understanding was that we were handing off this group to the 2 of you. Is that not the case?
If it was, I was not informed. However, it is a trivial matter. Bear with me one moment.
I appreciate. She's a very busy woman. Perhaps she is called away on assignment. If you're willing to accept ownership of the 3 of these, and it seems perhaps this fellow that you have with you already, we can finalize the various paperwork. And he leans in close to you at this point, Astros, and just says, hand off these petty criminals to you.
I'm going to cast my eye across them with quite a large level of disdain. I'm going to throw a sort of a glance back at Taran as well, and then I'm going to lean into him and just say, "You are sure that this is a good idea?"
I mean, good. Who knows? But
Oh, sorry, I was talking to the guard. I
Oh.
was just looking at you.
Well, my orders are simply to palm them off to their joint leadership. I've got a lot of paperwork regarding this, and honestly, the Guard of Stalvin are sick of dealing with the ownership of the military. Head beyond the wall and bring your criminals with you.
Very well. I'll snatch the papers from his hand without sort of looking at him. Just take them. Can I unseal them? Can I read them?
Yeah, so it's simply paperwork that essentially says that the guards are tasked with shadowing this group of criminals as per the agreement with the king. It references the king specifically in a way that is, don't fuck with this ruling. It is beyond comprehension, beyond question. You are to follow these people and offhand them to Asteros and Oresia.
Yep, no questions asked.
At the Fountain of Aquis. And that is what they've done, as far as they're concerned.
Very good. Okay then, so I'll slip that piece of paper back in the envelope and stick it in my armor.
Okay.
I'm going to turn to the group and just sort of cast my eyes over them. And there's now 4 of you. So I'm going to ask you to, each of you, you've been brought here for a very specific purpose by our highest order. I would ask that you line up, backs to the fountain. I'm going to just gesture that they all stand in a straight line.
just sort of slowly get up.
Okay. Not happy about it. But do it.
As you guys gather...
Highest order being who?
Why? I'm going to turn and look at the voice that just came.
Yeah. As you guys gather, Asteros, the guard, once more looks at you and just says to you, my understanding is that your group is to be used as one of the primary scouting parties before the rest of the army moves forwards. And he looks around at this point and notices that there are some people nearby. And as a result, he steps forwards to you, Asteros, and subsequently to the group, lowers his voice somewhat and says, my understanding is that your main objective will be to take point, clear obstacles, and then report back to the main force, so that the grand approach can continue. And before I forget, before we head back out, and he looks over at one of the guards that was accompanying him, who seems restless. It's the same female Dragonborn that you guys saw earlier. She seems a little bit unsure of herself, but ultimately quite restless. He looks back at her and is just like, yeah. He turns back to you and is like, your unit will need a name. Present it to the various captains themselves. And then he raises his hands, like, very visually, is just like...
Job done.
And walks away with the Dragonborn female. You're all in front of the fountain, in front of Asteros. And Asteros, you are very aware that your objective at this point is to guide the group to the military force out of the western gate of Stalvin and north of the wall.
I turn to everyone and I'm just like, so is this some kind of suicide squad? That's
I hope not.
I kind of stand behind Livia, like feeling a bit nervous. Like this guy Astros looks really intimidating, and I just kind of like step behind Livia a bit, like.
So I'm going to just quick. I know we have to. Obviously, we need to get out of the city. We need to get to the wall. I'm just going to walk down the line to each person in turn. So I'm going to stand in front of Taran, who's standing closest to me. Square up to him, look him up and down. Say, "You are thin. You are untrained. But there is certainly something about you. I'll be keeping a very close eye on you." I'm gonna walk down. Next person is gonna be Vice. Gonna stand up to Vice.
You see a somewhat slightly stockier human. He has pots and pans about his exterior. He's clearly wearing some sort of armor, but he also has quite an intricate blade, as well as somewhat confusing, almost viscous armor about him.
Yeah, you don't want to touch that shit.
You, what is your name?
Also a lump on my face.
Slapped recently.
Vice Kavanagh.
Kavanagh. And what are you, some kind of chef?
Yeah,
Some
I
kind.
am. Yeah, the best of them. Let's be honest.
And actually, probably worth mentioning at this point, Vice, that you have on your person an incredibly complex passage, a book. Let me show it to players. There we go.
I do, yeah, I do.
It is seemingly titled Foreign Botany and Nutritional Capacity. It seems to be written in common, but ultimately it references various things that just don't make any sense whatsoever. It's as if the author of this text
I can't
was
see it.
just purely insane. I think I have to possibly make it
It's
like...
only showing on the stream, it's not showing on...
That's fine, it's
No,
fine.
it's
The
showing
stream's
on-
fine.
It's showing for me.
You can see it because you
Yeah, it's
own
'cause
it.
you've
I
got
have
it.
to set it to all players to show it to them. It's
Oh.
fine. But essentially, the book you have, Vice, and that you came into a short while ago, seems to list instruction and guidance on gathering and preparing ingredients that you have never heard of. So not only are you a simple chef of the land outside of your class and the capabilities of yourself, but you are somebody that currently has access to information that your average person simply doesn't even understand. Unfortunately, at this point, that kind of includes you.
Okay.
So I'm going to be sort of looking over his various pots and pans hanging off loops on his clothing, and then also the, as you mentioned, the blade in its scabbard, and is it the slime armor?
Yeah.
Yes, quite an unusual attire you have there. Is this something for the kitchen?
Now you mention it.
This is well, it's for any situation that I come across.
A little bit of spice from the slime, just ooh.
And when you're not rattling pans, what is your profession?
Shit, what is my
Come on!
You're a bard.
You're a bard. You're a
I'm
bard.
oh, yeah,
Still
I'm
a bard,
sorry,
Vice.
Yeah, I'm a bard, yeah. Yeah, I'm
You're
a
a
bard,
fighter
man.
with the way of words.
Yes. Yeah.
An orator, as well as a cook. I do not know where best to place you within my squad, but we will test your mettle very shortly. And I'm going to move down to Livia, immediately noticing her tabard and her kind of holy, pious clothing, for lack of a better word.
Very obvious garb as to the goddess Arella, goddess of life.
Yep. And then has she got an Arella
Yeah,
insignia?
the tabard that she wears is white
All over.
with golden embroidery. It harbors the symbol of Arella as well, which looks like that.
So I'm gonna just look her straight in the eyes and say, Arella.
Yes.
And what is your connection to the divine?
I guess you could say I'm a protector, but I'm mainly the healer. And then I'm gonna look at Vice and tap him on the shoulder. Well, put my hand on his shoulder and cast Cure Wounds.
Ah.
Okay.
Ah,
So as Livia taps
as
Vice
my-
on the
as my-
shoulder,
as my,
there's
like-
a slight
Just
white glow, and Asteros, you recognize the bruising on Vice's face just diminish to nothing as he seems to entirely recover any sort of injury he has sustained.
Hmm.
I'm gonna clear my throat and look at him and say, "But that doesn't mean I can't fight." And then put my hand on with the hilt of my solemn sword.
You see that she has a hilt with no blade. It's the strangest
Mm.
sword you've seen in a long time.
I've never come across a weapon like that in all my years. Pray tell, where did you acquire it?
Broker's Ridge.
On the road.
hang on. Was that the sword that was meant? No, actually no.
No, Oryx, right. It was a long time ago in Broker's Ridge.
It was right at the beginning, essentially.
Like
Yeah.
way back.
Wow. Okay.
And then I'm gonna pull it out and sort of look at him as if, do you mind? Like a non-threatening
Hmm.
offering.
She
And
holds
then
it
I'll
loosely in her hand, almost motioning
Sure.
for you to give confirmation.
That's quite the weapon you have there. I trust you know how to use it.
I'm gonna say I do, and as I do, I'll hold it tighter and activate it.
As you suggest this, the blade bursts forth of the hilt, glowing green in its effervescent energy. It's not unlike a lightsaber in that it like just bursts forth and hums in energy. It seems quite powerful.
Right, I'm going to be visibly sort of taken aback by this, and just sort of look at her and mutter, "By the gods."
I'm gonna
And tell-
deactivate it and say, not to mention my spiritual version, but maybe we can save that for some training.
Asteros, roll religion. It is under intelligence. It's the bottom one of intelligence.
Yep.
I say to Olivia, "Are you flirting with this old man?"
So
What, you jealous?
as the blade of the sword bursts forth, you recognize that it is magic in nature, but you can't quite place where its
Yeah.
sort of origins lie.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
put my hilt back and sort of be normal.
She dissipates it once more, places it back on her belt.
So we have a whelp, a bard cook, and you. Tell me, my dear, how did you become acquainted with this rabble?
Brabble?
Rabble.
The hell? Who the fuck are you talking?
I would I appreciate you may not understand where we have come from and what we can do, but I can assure you we are strong and we are a team, and you will treat us as such. We are no rabble.
Man,
And
we saved your asses, man. We saved this freaking city. Let's be honest. Yeah.
I'm
You
gonna
want
tell.
to talk to?
the bard cook is not wrong.
Yeah. You want to talk to us like we're fucking like we're pieces
Using
of
his
shit?
new title.
All right, Vice. Shut up.
Asteros still looks at Nemea at this point.
I haven't looked in the mayor yet.
Oh, I
So-
thought you
No,
were
no,
referencing
no,
Nemea.
no,
as
no,
the
no,
city.
he's
No,
looking
no,
at
no.
Olivia.
Yeah, I was looking Livia.
He's
Oh, okay.
asking why I'm with the
Because
weirdos.
Nemea was kind of half crouched behind Livia's
Yeah,
arm.
she's hiding
so
behind me.
she's sort of hiding from me a
Okay.
little bit. But I'm going to turn back to Vice and say, "You shall not use Stalvin's name in vain like that. You answer to me now. You have not proven yourself to me in any way, shape, or form. For all I know, these deeds you speak of could have been her work." Motion to Livia. "Tell me, Vice Kavanagh, what is it that you have done for this team as of late?"
What have I done for this team?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be like,
You're
I'm
a
just gonna look at-
you're
be
a
like,
trusty
this
bard.
guy
You
has-
encourage
this
us.
guy has absolutely no clue. Why should I even try and explain to you what it is that I've done. I don't need to
A
explain
fair
to you.
response.
Okay.
You know, these are my comrades. They know what I've done. I just happen to
With
be
all
a
due
part of the team
respect,
because of the king.
the
Not
king
because,
took us as a group for a reason. We may not seem like much, and I appreciate that my garb may look somewhat more impressive than what they have, but I would not be here if it was for them. If it was not for them.
I peek out slightly from just the end of the line. I'm like, I'm Taryn, by the way. Nice horns. And then just sort of zip
Oh.
back to my formation.
Hi.
And that's gonna catch my attention and immediately divert me away from the conversation, as my eyes drawn down towards the mayor at the end of the line. You at the end, step forward.
Nemea, do
I
you do
don't.
so?
I'm gonna like elbow
No.
her a little bit,
No?
like in a playful way, and be like, and I'm just gonna sort of like flick my shield, like to make a dink. Like, don't worry, I got you.
I step forward, my hands kind of like fumbling together, and I'm like, I'm Nemea. I'm a sorcerer. No, I'm a warlock. I cast spells, so I stay in the back.
Nemea, as you point this out and like objectively reference the fact that you are a warlock, somebody whose magic is infused by the god or patron they follow, there's a pang
Yeah.
in the front of your head, sort of front right lobe, a
Ooh.
pain as you
Ooh.
remember
Oh.
the fallen exile trapped in some sort of cage which is
Yeah.
controlled by an outward force. And just as this moment kind of like strikes you in the front of your head, it passes. And it's as if invoking what you are brings on the memory that you have not resolved the issues of your patron.
Yeah.
Do I
haven't
notice her in
freed
pain?
her.
Roll insight. At disadvantage because you have exhaustion.
How much longer is that for?
3
17.
days.
Huh? What?
Yeah,
7 days.
it's a point
3.
per. You lose a
3
point
days.
per day. But
day,
disadvantage on ability checks is the first one, so it'll take 3 days. Out of 17, you recognize that she seems to be in pain, but you're not sure why.
I'm just gonna put my hand on her arm, not heal her because I don't know if there is anything wrong.
Yeah, it seems
but
to be
as a
mental rather
reassurance.
than physical.
So we're standing face to face. So do I notice her flinch?
Roll insight. Without disadvantage because you are not exhausted.
Just maybe we were at 5 days of exhaustion when we got out of prison.
No, you're at 3 days of exhaustion when you got out of prison.
21.
Yes, you visibly see her recoil and suffer some sort of mental anguish.
Okay. So I'm going to be looking her up and down. I'm taking in everything: the tiefling, the head, the horns, the crack with the blue running through it, the new robes which are very ornate, and
They're simple robes, but they're clearly runed in some sort
black
of ornate
and
fashion.
purple and covered in runes. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm just sort of just breathing all of this in while I'm looking at you, and then I sort of notice you flinch. I'm going to look you, fix you dead in the eyes, and say, "A tiefling, in my squad. Who the hell do you believe you to be within my fine city of Stalvin?"
Excuse yourself. And I'm gonna step forward and put my shield up in an extremely defensive manner.
I'm like taken back, like completely taken back.
There's a venom to his words that you have not felt since Moorhen, Vice's hometown.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just gonna stare him down and say, "How dare you?"
Even I'm slightly like shocked by this and looking at him like, the fuck, man?
So I'm gonna put my hand on Olivia's shield that she's holding up and look at her and say, "Stand back. That is a direct order."
There's a moment. I'll tell you what. Roll intimidation.
Thank you.
Nemea begins to tear up somewhat. Uh,
Man, if I mutter under my breath.
Livia,
If Leo was here.
despite the surrounding energies of your comrades, the fact that Nemea has almost broken down entirely from the mention of a sort of vehemence towards tieflings, it catches you aback, and you feel the need to step back from Asteros's approach as he expresses a hatred towards tieflings. You, as much as you would like to, like, rock face this opposition, he catches you off guard in such a way that you feel the need to step down, and it catches you off guard. You lower the shield somewhat and are almost beaten by his approach towards somebody like the mayor.
Okay.
I'm just going to take a half a step forward and lean in a little bit closer to Nemea and say, a tiefling, a warlock, and an injured one at that, motioning to the horn.
Mm-hmm.
And now to boot you flinch in my presence. I have no use for you. However, it is by the king's word that you are my ward. Therefore, we will take you north of the wall. However, upon getting there, you will expect no quarry from me. No aid, no assistance. There will be no tiefling in my squad. And I'm going to turn, and I'm going to unsheath my warhammer and motion it towards the west gate. We march west.
As Asteros mentions this, it resonates in all of you that your unit needs named. You're free to discuss this as you head to the western gate.
I'm going to look at him as we walk on and say, you are not we. And then take the mayor's hand and walk off with her. And then I'm going to tell her, you will always be in our team.
I slightly, stick with the group more, because after seeing that, I'm just, I look over at Asteros, and I'm just a bit like, the fuck? That's just, no, that's not cool. And I stick with them as we walk off.
I'm gonna notice that he's following us, and I'm fine with it. I'm gonna hold and squeeze the mayor's hand reassuringly, ignoring Knobhead, and I'm gonna look between them and take a deep breath and try to sort of embrace my position within the group, and say, so what do you think of Onomaeus? And look at them and laugh, because we've been having this back and forth for so long. Not necessarily as a serious suggestion, but as an icebreaker between us.
I look a little bit.
Here's our moment to take the name.
I squeeze Livia's hand and I give her a determined look, kind of stand a bit straight again, and walk on with them. Where I'm just like, I'm not letting him do that to me. I'm not gonna let him in.
And go wake her and give her a nod as if to say, that's my go.
So as you guys outwardly profess this desire to be called Onomaeus, Asteros, you hear this in the background. How do you react?
That's a good question. At this point, I'm sort of very aware that I have to lead the squad, and aspiring leadership doesn't just mean yelling at everyone all the time. So we are walking, we are marching.
Yeah, everyone's following you.
I'm gonna hear it. I'm not gonna acknowledge it. We're just gonna keep marching.
Okay. So several
As we
hours.
walk on, I'm going to slightly elbow Vice. I'm still not going to look at him, but I'm just going to give him a playful elbow. You're a dick, but you're not the biggest dick.
Yeah.
And I'll say that under my breath.
Okay. Alright, okay.
Several hours pass as you all, much like the original military that I spoke of in the entry of this session, you all move through the people of Stalvin, pushing them aside, making your way through the city, out of the market square, past the shadows, past the acreage, out through the western gate. You wrap round to the north of Stalvin, and eventually in the distance, after many hours, you come across the distant gathering of the Stalvin military. It is massive. way more people than you would ever expect, despite the fact that Stalvin is ultimately at its weakest point. They have been recruiting and taking on anyone possible over this 2-month, 3-day period to bolster their numbers. Asteros, you are very aware of this. This does not surprise you in any fashion. The other 4 of you, this is quite a unprecedented amount of people in a single place, and it really seems as though a force is gathering here, as mentioned, to march upon the Wandering Wood north of this current point of the city. I'll bring you back to the main map. You guys are essentially here just north of Stalvin, with the intention being that you're going to head towards the Wandering Wood, cross the river, and make your way forth into the central section. As you guys make your way towards this this military gathering, bear with me. Adam, facilitate my messages if possible. WhatsApps and various. Huh?
Does that mean read?
Yeah, sure.
Can you send it in Discord? My phone died ages ago.
It's all good. So, as you guys approach the larger body of military forces that make up Stalvin, you see all sorts of people. There's a dwarven fellow that was in conversation with various people beforehand. You see the same dragonborn lady that was mentioned beforehand, and a mixture of various other people as they mill about the various encampments and nearby tents and holds that make up the Stalvin military. It's been several hours since you left Stalvin proper. You are far beyond the wall, and you find yourselves north of the capital. Bear with me. It's still kind of on your minds that your group would need some sort of name. And as Asteros brings you to a central point, a kind of opening, amidst the various other military soldiers that make up Stalvin's military, you kind of bring yourselves to a stalemate, a rest point. There's nearby benches and logs and the like, and you take up residence, you sit down. Asteros stands before you all, and in the distance, you see a woman that seems to have a commanding authority. She stands before you all in the distance. Bear with me. I do not have a picture like I would like. Bear with me. So, what you see is a woman that seems... One sec. Kind of average height. She seems to be human. Mid-aged, long brown hair. She has a sort of wrapping around her head. Clearly has some hefty gauntlets and 2 quite large, long swords about her waist. She's distant through a few other soldiers that are just milling around. Some are simply searching for rations of the day. Some are moving through to make sure that they adhere to their orders. But this specific woman seems to be standing still. She has one sword which is much wider at the end than the other, as if it's intricate in nature. Everybody roll perception for me except Asteros. All at disadvantage because you all have exhaustion.
Poop. 9.
9. Vice 9.
9.
9.
The mighty 9. Taran 15. Okay, cool. So Taran. Oh yeah, where's Nemea?
Oh man,
Still trying to roll on Reddit.
Fuck's sake. I genuinely cannot get it.
Reddit
12.
will haunt you forever.
Is that with 2
Have you
rolls?
rolled it twice?
Nemea?
Yeah, I rolled it twice.
Okay, so
Okay.
12 for Nemea and 15 for Taryn. So Taryn and Nemea, you recognise that this lady, whoever she is, has one sword that seems to be almost standard issue, and another that looks as though it gives way to her main hand that has an intricate hilt bestowed with gems in some fashion. You, Nemea, specifically recognise that there is some sort of intricacy to this blade. And as you view this woman in the distance, she seems to be making her way towards the group. And as she does so, she approaches Asteros.
How old is she?
She looks to be middle-aged, from what you can tell. And then she says some stuff that I'm waiting on.
Oh, I can't hear you.
So Asteros and this woman converse quietly. Asteros then folds his arms, looks disgruntled, and marches away from the group.
Okay. I pull Taryn
oh my
to the
God,
side.
right, we're getting the full team.
Oh, I'm gonna look at Nemea and be like, "Thank fuck, he's gone."
Yeah, and I'm like,
She
yeah.
she doesn't
God,
look as
he
though
really doesn't like.
Does she also look like a dickhead?
she looks at Asteros as though she,
Does
with
she look like a
extreme prejudice, hates him.
Oh, I love this woman. She looks fantastic.
And then
I'm
she
writing that in
looks
the notes.
back at the group as though she's
Oh.
unimpressed and simply says to Asteros,
Gabriel is accompanying the military in his father's stead. We're to report him immediately for our orders.
Damn.
it seems as though Asteros understands this immediately.
Hey, come back.
Oh,
Mate, she just looked at us like shit. Like, why do you want
Yeah,
her to
but
come
she
back?
hates
Like,
she hates racist douchebag. We like
oh,
her.
man, we just.
But Amy, come back. Ah.
Look, I'd rather
As
just
this
not
figure says this to Asteros, she then leads the group. Collectively, you guys are expected to follow towards a tent down the way. Once Asteros and Oresia specifically arrive, you have the choice of sort of coming in or waiting outside. What do you all want to do outside of Asteros and Oresia?
I
Oh,
want to
outside.
pull
Oh,
Taryn to the
creepy.
side,
Okay.
and I want to like, oh, and I want you to
Shut
Wait,
up,
what?
Alexa.
We have
Shut
a
up,
choice
Alexa.
to what? To go inside or outside? What?
Go on the mayor and I'll answer Max afterwards.
Yeah. I pull him to the side, and I'm like, he always like that. How long have you known him?
I've known him for like a few hours. He was
Oh.
all right at first, a bit of a dick, but that was biggest dickus. Just
Biggest stickers.
Biggest dickus. Bigger than.
Am I outstanding with the group at this point?
You've sort of half made your way inside.
Biggest dickus.
They're kind of whispering off to the side.
Okay, all right.
We're outside. Just clarifying. Biggest stickers.
Vice,
Yes. Yeah.
Vice, do you want to head inside into the tent, or do you want to wait outside with your group?
Where's biggest dickus? Where is he? Is he in the tent or is he out?
Asteros has headed inside, as per the orders of
He's
Orestes.
staying out here. I am
You're
definitely-
staying outside with the
Staying
group.
away from the dickers.
So the four of you roll perception for me.
Oh my god, again.
just sort of continuing the conversation. Now I'm just
Well.
like, so what's with the horn?
5.
Not
Nemea.
20. Come on.
No.
Wait, do I get
Come on,
this?
another one.
Everyone
come
has
on, man.
everyone has disadvantage. You're all exhausted.
23 for Vice
23,
and 10 for Taryn.
What about
23.
you two? What about the mayor and
Oh,
Livia?
I said
5.
those already. I'm 12
5 and 12, 23
and 10.
and
Maybe a
10.
bitch.
Okay, so Vice, you hear everything that is about to be said.
Okay.
Okay, so
Do you want to go into whispers?
no, it's fine. We'll play it out here. It's all good. So, Asteros and Oresia, as you two head inside the tent, you are met with a figure that you recognize all too well. His name is Gabriel, as Oresia explained. He is the eldest of the princes of Stalvin, sons of the king of Stalvin, Gabriel and Andablath. Livia having heard his name previously, you assume from the fact that his first name is Gabriel that they mean Gabriel Anderbleth. And if you want to refer that to everyone else, you can do so.
Talking about the prince, and he's a proper twat.
It's well known
Oh,
that Gabriel
my.
Anderbleth is the captain of the Kingsguard, and as such holds the role of captain regardless of whatever military or domestic
does.
force he oversees. And as Asteros and Oresia head in towards him, and Vice, you overhear this, he says to the both of them, Stalvan's in a time of weakness. The banning of magic and the acts of Grimnir Wormjaw have caused us to be at somewhat of a weakness. Bandit attacks have become more and more prominent, as I'm sure you're familiar, and he looks at you, Asteros, as though bandit attacks are something that you've dealt with quite commonly as a result of generally being part of the military and not really holding a homestead within Stalvan. You're usually out on mission, and that mission is usually holding the front. Anytime any sort of opposition towards Stalvan walls takes place, you're usually sent out as the forefront. You usually have a squad. You're one of many. The objective is to just fucking wreck anyone that could possibly pose any sort of opposition to Stalvan. So this is old news for you. He goes on to say, as I mentioned, bandit attacks have become more prominent. Your first assignment will be to head north and locate the base of operations for many of the bandit attacks that have taken place towards the north, heading east and west of Stalvan. Will then be expected you to report in before the final orders can be given regarding how to proceed. The understanding is that you will take point, appreciate your situation, and report back before we provide how to go about taking care of the situation. The proper approach on the Wandering Wood has been delayed, pending the king meeting the dwarf leaders of Dumbarlin. Our understanding here is that he needs to officially sign the peace treaty that abolishes the banning of teleportation magic. We intend to march at half pace until he returns. We will not be moving this force into the Wandering Wood until the king is upon our number. But as I'm sure you understand, a peace treaty between us and the dwarves in the north is necessary to garner our intentions with the Wandering Wood. Asteros, you will be leading the group on this mission. Oresia, you're aware of your other duties currently. Though, should we need either of you to swap places in the short term, we've come up with a solution. You have differing expertise, and we will need those separate of the various criminals that you oversee. We'll need call of you both away at short notice due to your skill set, and as a result, I'll need a drop of blood from both of you, from a process that will ensure we can mobilize you and your unit quickly and effectively. He draws a dagger at this point, Asteros and Oresia, and he motions for the both of you to accept this dagger and essentially draw blood and pour it into a vial that he opens and presents before you. Vice, you hear all of this, but you cannot see any of it. Asteros, do you accept the blade?
I do. I look down at it with an immense amount of disgust about what's being proposed. But this is... I'm going to turn to Gabriel and look at him and say, on my honor, my liege, you have my word that I will do this duty. However, this is blood magic we're talking here. This is permissible on this occasion?
Whilst this magic requires blood to ensure that it is bound to those that are part of the ritual, it is magic nonetheless. There is nothing untoward, And whilst the king says magic is not banned in the capital, we will adhere to whatever necessities ensure that we will win this war.
And then, without any further word, I'm going to run that blade, the tip of the blade, down my index finger.
Okay. He pulls out a pendant that he presents to you. You bring the blade down your finger, and the blood drops onto the pendant. He moves the pendant over to Aresia and requests the same. I assume she complies.
She does.
She does the same, bringing the blade just across the tip of her thumb, seeing that it seems like a simple drop or two sufficed. And she drops that onto the pendant. He places it down between the two of you. If you wouldn't mind, my understanding is that you should kneel. He motions for the two of you to essentially take a knee in front of this pendant.
Yep, we do it unquestioningly.
He takes a step back at this point, and he looks over his shoulder. You see a couple other gentlemen adorned in recognizable Stalvan military garb, but they seem to be lightly armored, likely giving way to mages about their quarter. And they step forwards, and a ritual is performed that takes quite some time, about sort of half an hour, as they seemingly cast some kind of magic over this pendant. At some point, one of them passes their hand over the device and separates it into two. This seems to mark the finishing of this ritual. And the pendant is essentially a large, kind of 2-inch wide circular piece of metal with a diamond-esque symbol upon it, covered in blood that seems to seep within it and occasionally present itself, otherwise affixed to a chain that he gives one to you, Asteros, and one to you, Aresia. Gabriel steps forwards at this point and just says, "These pendants are not without their cost. The magics here are powerful and potent, though they are also limited. Should you need, you may focus upon them to commune with the other." And he motions towards you, Asteros, and then again towards Aresia. "When communal is not sufficient, and we have call of the other, you may use this device to swap places with those who have partaken in the ritual." And once more he motions towards the both of you to reinforce that you are bound in this magic situation. "As long as your partner in this endeavor remains upon the same plane that you do, you may swap places if you focus long enough. As I mentioned, you have different skill sets, and I will have call of you both, as will the king upon his return. Should one of you be called away, I expect you to trade places with the other, so that you might adhere to your duties. As for the rest of your squadron, get ready and rest up. There is a quartermaster that you might purchase anything from you need, but for anything else you leave tomorrow, after your team's induction. As I mentioned, the quartermaster is set up should you wish to purchase anything before you begin. Other than that, you are dismissed." And he turns towards the mages that he was speaking to previously, having motioned for you to leave the tent and return to your squadron, of which Vice heard everything.
I'm going to slowly stand, and it's sort of paining me to do so. I'm obviously quite old and wearing a lot of heavy armor. I stand up, I look and bow my head towards my prince. I completely refuse to acknowledge Aresia at all. And she catches a glimpse of my face. All of the blood is drained from my face. My eyes are watering. of clearly extremely uncomfortable with all of this.
There's a moment on her expression that's sort of gleeful at the fact that you're so weakened at such an endeavor before she catches herself and realizes that she is too somewhat weakened from this ritual. And while she takes a moment of joy at your dissatisfaction, she realizes that it extends to herself and attempts to express a moment of strength to not display the same weakness that you seem to have in front of her.
Mm. And yeah, with no further words, I'm gonna march out the tent and presumably see Vice standing rather close to it.
Yep. As you exit the tent, he's there like...
Oh,
Kavanaugh, for your sake, forget what you heard here.
grey hair. He already has.
And so, with the instruction that it seems that you are to collectively head out and apprehend some sort of bandit encampment, you guys have your orders following your induction, which as yet you are not sure what entails, outside of Asteros and Eresia's understanding. For now, that is the end of the session.
Yay!
Goodbye, stream!
Bye.
Goodbye. I seem
Bye.
to not be able to find the Twitch chat. There we go. Goodbye, stream.
Goodbye.
Bye.